Hello everyone, welcome to the Varanus podcast on the Trap Talk Reptile Network. Tonight I've got a really exciting guest, Justin Julander, or Dr. Justin Julander, joining me to talk some herping. I'll get him straight on for you. How we going, Justin? I told you it'd be a quick intro, mate.
Best kind, yeah.
Get straight into it. We've got a lot of stuff to cover.
Right.
For anyone that doesn't know, like I was just saying, I think they've lived under a rock. You're an author, you've done many trips, and you've got your own podcast. So anything else you want to add to that?
I think that sounds good. Yeah.
Awesome. So herping's been a big part of your life, as we're just looking back here. Looking at, was this your first trip to Australia in 2010?
Yeah. That was the inaugural trip, and I was fortunate enough. My wife was she knew how much I love reptiles and how much I really wanted to get to Australia, and she said, "Look, we have a little extra money. Why don't you go to Australia, and before the kids are older and need more of your time and energy or whatever." And so she had me go over, and then I was lucky enough to go speak at a couple symposia while I was over there, and so that was kind of helped me get over a few more times after that, people asking me to come over and speak, and
Nice.
So that helps cover the part of the trip, and I always try to tack on herping on top of that, but
it's got to be done. You got to say extend it for a little bit, and what's around your area. I'm guessing that was was that the complete carpet python?
Yeah, that was shortly before the book was released, but we'd been working on that. Nick and I had been working on that for quite a bit, and then the word got around, and I think somebody else was supposed to speak, but they had to bail out on the talk, and I was going over anyway, so they said, well, why don't you come speak at this? We'll take you on a bit of a herping trip before the symposium, and then you can speak. And then I decided to go after that. I was with my dad as well on that trip. Nice. And so that was really a great trip. And then we went to Central Australia. So that trip, that first trip really kicked off the monitor, bug in me.
Yeah.
I'd already had it. I mean, I think Parenti's my favorite monitor of all, probably favorite reptile. They're just so cool. And so that was kind of what got me into monitors. I've just been a closet, Varanophile for a long time. I've tried to keep them a few times, but they require a lot of work and effort and time.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have a lot of work and effort and time. Yeah. So
especially if you want to go herping as well, it's
right.
Tricky one to leave for any amount of time. So that first trip was to where, mate?
So we started out in Cairns area and Iron Range, and so we headed up to Iron Range. So that was kind of the first leg of the trip with the guys from the symposium. So I was out there with Alan Rapashi and Rico Walder and
wow.
It was really a great trip. So nice cane toad, that's what you really go over there to find. But we got up to the Iron Range, and I think the first monitor we found was a Panoptes that was a juvenile. I think it's on the next page.
Just do a little caveat. If anyone's listening on the audio of this episode, definitely check out the YouTube channel, because it's going to be very picture heavy, as most of these herping episodes are.
Right. Yeah. So we saw juvenile Panoptes kind of along the side of the car. So that was actually I should go back a bit, because I had a conference in Singapore in like 2005, and we had like time to go out and do stuff. So I went to the zoo, and I asked somebody at the zoo, like, where can you see wild, reptiles? And they said, oh, go down to the botanical garden. So I went down there and saw a couple black spitting cobras and some flying lizards. And then I saw some clouded monitors that were hanging out. There was this.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I this juvenile, like, he was the one that he climbed up a tree. I was kind of following him, taking pictures. He climbed up a tree, and then a flying lizard flew out of the tree to another tree. And then these two flying lizards were doing this little dance, their little combat thing.
Yeah.
And then I heard a bigger clouded monitor in a ditch. So I came, chasing after it, jumped down in the ditch, and it's whipping its tail and spraying me with mud. And, I picked it up and stuff. It was pretty great time. So that was my first introduction to a wild varanid, but so the 2010 trip to Australia was kind of that second go. And so we saw the Panoptes. We also saw that DOR Keith Horn and I, which was a bummer. But we also we were walking down the road, just kind of walking during the day looking for stuff, and I heard kind of a rustling in the leaves, and any good herper knows, you know, you follow that sound because, you know, it's usually some kind of reptile or another, or bird, you know. But so I kind of ran into the forest, and I see this black streak climbing up a tree, and so and of course it was doing the opposite side of the tree thing where it would try to, you know, not be in view of me. And so but my dad and Rico Walder was with me, and they got a great view of him as he tried to circle the tree, getting away from me. They got some nice views of him and stuff. So
amazing.
I didn't get a picture of that one, unfortunately, and they kind of seemed like a nightmare to photograph anyway. And this was back in 2010 when, you know, camera, you know, long lenses were a little more pricey than out of my price range for sure back then.
Oh yeah, it's come leaps and bounds in that regard.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Keith Horn and I was cool. Yeah, there's the Panoptes, and so yeah, we kind of pulled up alongside this thing. He was just sitting on the side of the road, and of course we tried to jump out. I think Alan Rapashi went for it, but yeah, it took off and didn't even get close to it. But yeah, pretty wary. And then so yeah, I think those were the two up in the Iron Range. We went back to the tablelands and got a nice big lace monitor that was just kind of, you know.
You can't skip over these green tree pythons on a trip with.
Yeah.
That
was definitely the purpose going there. And I'd actually read the book Stalking the Plumed Serpent, and in that book, what's the name? Gosh dang. Anyway, Bruce Means wrote that book, and he talks about how they found green tree pythons. And so I said, well, let's try this method, you know, and we're just kind of driving slowly along the road, shining the lights into the trees, and all of a sudden this, you know, neon green sign just appears in my headlamp, and there's one right there, you know. It worked. And so we it was very just like everybody was silent, you know. It's like if you talked, it would disappear or something. It was so cool, you know. All you heard were camera shutters, and that's about it. Yeah.
I wish they were that easy in Indo. You could do them by the road. We did try on that trip with Ryan and Nick, but to no avail. But Ryan's still hopeful we can do it somewhere. But yeah, that must be the joy, air conditioned, not having to track everywhere and turn up a green python.
Yeah.
And a really nice one, by the looks, classic.
Yeah, it was beautiful. The second one we found was a little worse for the wear. But yeah, it was also Rico's first wild green tree python. So that was cool to be there with him.
Yeah. How was getting up to the Cape? I've heard it's pretty dicey.
Yeah, and so let's see, we'd flown into Cairns, and I had like a day before the other guys got there, so I did like this late night circle of kind of the Cairns area up into the tablelands, back down to Cairns. And I think my dad was not feeling great, so he grabbed a hotel room and took a nap while I did this. And I think I got back at like 4 a.m, and I was just like, you know, found a death adder, found a leaf-tailed gecko. Like I was on you know, cloud 9 on my first trip there. But so after that, you know, we met up with the guys, and we got a couple vehicles and drove up, and it took a long time, but we pretty much drove through the night, so that was helpful. Stayed up at that spot there, and
Chili Beach, right?
Yeah, it's just
I've never been there. It's a trip I've put off going up to the Cape. I've left that. I'm writing a book on tree monitors, and that's like probably the last one I'll do to go find Keith Horn, which will probably take me 10 years, knowing my luck. I won't be able to pick one off. But
isn't that how it goes?
Just getting a rental car up there seems pretty. It might have changed now, but a lot of rental companies, when I looked into it before, wouldn't let you go further than a certain point.
Right.
North.
Yeah. That's seems to be the thing, and a lot. I've heard that some of them are like putting GPS so they can tell where you're at.
Yeah. I got scammed on. But this was Western Australia, and we'll get to that. A trip to the Pilbara. They had everything that you couldn't go out at night. which was obviously a bummer for any
Right.
herper. And then a GPS, and then a speed tracker on there as well.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I think I went like 2 miles over the speed limit, and they were like, they kept my deposit in the end, but it turned out
What?
to be a massive scam. Yeah. Like, you've
Ah,
been out at night. I ticked off every single rule I should have done
yeah.
wrong, which was like, you've gone out at night, you've broke the speed limit, and then you've gone down some tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
But they got taken to court, and it was actually massively illegal. So
Oh yeah.
didn't get my money back, unfortunately, but they couldn't scam anyone else. But yeah, I think they're pretty hot on you not reckoning. But I took out like super insurance as well, which, as you
Right.
know,
It's
which you
very
should be able to do
pricey.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
like four-wheel
Yeah.
drive insurance, all that.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. I was like, you're a four-wheel drive company. You want to keep on sealed roads. It's like,
Yeah.
anyway.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's funny that those are the things you have to worry about, or like
Yeah.
vehicles, and a lot of, like, I think that first trip kind of brought this to mind is when we went to Central Australia, and we'll get to that in a second, but we went to Alice Springs and airport, and had our rental vehicle there, and they said, okay, you're limited to this many miles. I said, no, I got an unlimited miles vehicle. And they said, no, we don't do that. And I said, well, check my reservation. And oh yeah, you do have an unlimited miles. And I'm thinking, we're not going to be able to go anywhere we want to do, go with this range limitation. Like, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, that's
that mile thing is insane, because everywhere, as we'll probably get to, is so far between spots for herping, and even just towns for herping. Like, you do it just on your first leg.
Right.
But yeah, again, I was looking recently, and then there was a company that did unlimited miles from Perth. But if you tried to go to Darwin and do unlimited miles, they wouldn't do it from there. It's like,
right.
How does that work?
It's crazy. Yeah. And so that's something to keep in mind, is like, keep an eye on those, mile limitation if you're going to Australia, because some places have it, others don't. So that's a lot of times why we'll fly into Perth and do the huge drive up to Carragini and all that. Because it's cheaper to rent an unlimited miles vehicle in Perth and just do all the miles. And I don't know. But, adds a lot of time to your trip for sure.
Yeah, it's a slog, especially if you're the only one driving, which is usually the case when I'm going up there. So getting back to the monitors, mate, on that trip, if I go to part 3, will that bring anything up?
I believe so. I'm trying to remember. I kind of stopped doing the the more narrative thing with the long form, but I think part 4 has the lace monitor that we found towards the down at the end, around I think Coranda. We found that. Nice little lacy.
Dark one.
Yeah, they're pretty cool as well. So I've probably seen, I don't know, I'm trying to think which species I've seen the most of, but Various has probably showed up on the most trips. Like, they've been a common thread through my monitor career, I guess, of finding them.
That's one I've never turned up, is Various. I went on a very, very long drive from Brisbane out to some lake. I can't remember what the lake's called now. It's where you're going to get bells a lot, basically. That's the reason I didn't stay around Brisbane. Super long trip and just got eaten by mosquitoes. No Various. But
it's very difficult to like target. I think, they just kind of pop up randomly. So on another trip, my 2016 trip, we were at one of the Mossman Gorge, and I had my 3 oldest kids with me, and we were actually headed back to the car, and like right at the end of the beginning end of the trail or whatever, there was this beautiful just black lace monitor with these brilliant white gold spots all over it. And so I just followed it into the forest for probably an hour. My kids are sitting on the trail like, where did Dad go? Like, what is going on? Came back, sorry guys, I had to follow this monitor around.
You'll be all right. There's no one around. I suppose that's the problem. That another thing I haven't come up against, not having children yet, is herping with children. You do quite a bit of that by the sounds of it. Having to bribe your children to find. I think on another podcast you said boy die, wasn't it? You get an ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. That was that same trip. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good times. But
that's really dark lace. What sort of habitat was that in? Just
This was forest. Yeah, we were driving kind of Coranda, which is some, tropical
Yeah.
forest type, and but a lot of farmland and disturbed habitat and stuff. So probably an edge of but this one seemed to be like right in the middle of the forest. We were on dirt road and stuff. So yeah, this was kind of a funny spot. We were looking for those pygmy banded pythons with the pictures just up a bit. We Yeah, these with that scrub and the frogs. Yeah, we were driving, looking for those pygmy banded pythons back when they were kind of a whisper in a rumor or whatever, as pygmy Stimsons or whatever. So we were out there cruising, and my dad, and we had another friend with us, and my dad was like, are we headed back to the hotel? Oh yeah, we're heading back. And then me and Rico were driving, and he'd fall asleep, and so we're like, hey, he's asleep, let's do another pass. And it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. He wakes up, he's like, are we still out on this road? I'm like, oh, sorry, yeah, we're headed back now. But it was a struggle to get back, and this scrub python was basically all the way across our lane, and Rico was driving, thankfully, because I was a little tired. I probably would have ran right over it, but he hit the brakes, and we were able to stop and get out and check out this giant scrub. It was pretty cool. But
yeah, they're that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But so no pygmy banded. What are they going to call those now? They didn't discuss that, did they, Justin?
No, they did not. Yeah, they kind of completely ignored it, even though they had plenty of impetus to do so, and they had even DNA from different specimens, but they just ignored it. So goofy.
The one that needed answering, they left out.
Yeah,
ruined the children.
I'm not really happy with their answers that they gave to the other classification. So I don't know that I would have been happy about. I think they're calling it children eye, so
yeah, it's mad. It's absolutely ridiculous. Insane. I wish people hadn't adopted that. Like me and you haven't adopted it. I spoke to Nick, and he doesn't agree. I think even Scott and Ty in their book, they're dealing with the Western population still as Stimson eye, which makes sense.
Yeah. They gave it a subspecies name of Stimson eye, which was I don't know. I guess you can straddle the fence a little there, Scott.
Better than children eye for sure.
Yeah. So we after the tablelands, after this lace monitor, that was, I guess, as far as Varanids go, that was the last one there, and then we headed to Central Australia. Of course, the chameleon geckos and the Boyd's forest dragon, those were fun finds. So Alice, driving from the airport into Alice Springs, this guy was sitting out on a fence post, so basically a welcoming party from the airport, and got out of the car, and I was thinking, okay, this thing's going to bolt at any second, because we'd seen a long-nosed dragon similarly perched on a fence post, and we stopped the car and opened the door, and it dove, it took off, and sort of thinking, oh, this is going to do the same thing. So I'm taking picture, taking a step, taking a picture kind of thing, get up to it, and it just sat there. I reached out and picked it up. It just just completely calm, easy going. So that was my first Gillens, and actually my last Gillens. I haven't seen one since then.
I've never been able to get Gillens. The only one I got is, have you got bush eye in the Pilbara or not?
No,
is that the last one you need? Okay, that's an easy one. I can point you in the right direction.
I need to get back out to WA anyway.
And you've got the set then.
It was a nice find, but on subsequent trips I've looked for them and haven't been able to find them. But we went out to Uluru, saw, of course, squashed multifasciata and occipitalis. They were within 50 feet of each other. The multifasciata was a little further gone, but actually right here with that Burton's legless lizard, we were out, just me and my dad were walking in the dunes looking for stuff, and I was walking, just beautiful red sand, dunes and cool habitat. And I see this small monitor, and, they were actually 2 of them, and they were kind of combating or interacting some way. And I come, over the dune onto the scene, and they stop and kind of look at me. And then one dives, down, and the other takes off running. So I'm chasing the one running, and it dives into a burrow, and, I can't find the entrance or figure out, and of course I didn't get a picture because it was just such a snap moment, but it was Varanus eremius, the the rusty desert monitor. So I was really sad not to get a picture of those. And
not many people have, mate. I've seen flashes of them between the spin effects, but to actually see one, I don't know, that they're really cool. For anyone that doesn't know, they're like it's like almost like a mini Guldi if you see it, but completely red. But the face is very much like a Guldi or a Panoptes.
Yeah, and at first I thought, oh, are these just juvenile Flavies or something? But yeah, it was Eremius. I remember like the tail was kind of different looking, that kind of thing. So
they're really smart.
So unfortunately, no photos of that one. But we continued on back to Alice Springs. I think we saw a few Flavie Rufus out there. Well, this was like the wettest year on record, so it just rained on us the whole time. But we saw this little knobtail. We missed out on the pale knobtails and the Amy A and West Max and everything, but did see the Levis and a few other really nice things out there. Yeah, the fat tail geckos were everywhere. Like they were like, oh, another fat tail. They're really cool species, but yeah, they were very plentiful. Those, and what else did we see a lot of? A bunch of the Strophurus and other stuff. But
what Strophurus?
I believe that's Intermedius, if I remember correctly. Yeah. We saw, I think, both Ciliaris and Intermedius out there. Bearded dragons were very plentiful, which was crazy because on this last trip we didn't see any. We saw one that had been hit by a car, and that was it. But on this trip, they were like everywhere. It seemed we were just seeing bearded dragons all over the place. And this next picture in Simpson's Gap had this horrendous malformation on its back, like it would have been cold in captivity, but it's like, very, but it was living its best life, a big adult, with this huge spinal kink, kind of crazy. But
what sort of habitat were you seeing the beardies in? Just for anyone
that was West Max, kind of like sandy, rocky, soil. They'd hang out on like tree branch, kind of shrubby tree branches, just maybe 3 or 4 feet off the ground. And then if you came close to them, they'd kind of do the the thing where they're going on the opposite side of the branch and kind of peeking over with the side eye to see, and then they drop and hit a burrow if you got too close. And although the males, like this male, he would like display and like come at you, like he wasn't afraid. And a lot of times they'll do like a bluff strike and then take off the other way. So they're
made such an iconic species to see. I've only seen, I don't know if I've seen any proper ones. I've seen minor in Western Australia. You get them.
Those are cool. But it doesn't get much more iconic than a big inland bearded dragon. I think we also saw coastals on the front end of the trip as well. Acanthurus, that was the next monitor find. Just sitting out, kind of, we were driving along the road, same kind of thing, looking for whatever we could see, and this guy was just basking on this flat rock. So that was pretty cool, just out in the wild. And actually, I think this trip was the only time I've seen Acanthurus. I haven't been lucky enough to spot any. We saw a dead one on this last trip, but no Ackies since then. But this actually, the next part of the trip, we were at the Alice Springs Desert Park and going through there, and a friend that I'd met online was showing us around. He worked at the park, and I heard this rustling, and there's a pair of wild Ackies on the zoo grounds mating under this rock. And I'm like, oh, there's a pair of Ackies right behind us, and he was just talking about how, this area is good for, Acanthurus. We see them around here. I'm like, oh, there's a pair of them right there.
Breeding.
And,
write a paper on this, Justin?
I wrote that up, and that was with the Monitor Journal, BOAC.
That's where I've seen it.
However you pronounce that. But after they were finished with their activities there, they both went on like neighboring rocks and just basked for a bit. But the female had a really kind of interesting pattern. That next picture kind of shows her blended in really nicely with the rocks. But really, cool pattern.
Do a second take when you sent me the pictures over. I thought it was a breachy or Insulamicus, they call it now, which is another one. is a weird one, but
yeah, right.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, really, really nice, nice pattern on that one.
Yeah, yeah, that was fun to
What
see.
time, what time of year was it? You went
It was
there?
October, so kind of
Okay.
springtime. Yeah. Like I said, rainy. This was one of the rare, like, sunny days
Yeah,
that we saw these guys. But yeah, it rained on us pretty much the whole time we were out there. They were seeing flowers bloom that they, botanists had never seen before out there,
yeah,
and like flocks of budgies. The locals are like, "Oh yeah, we've never seen flocks of budgies like this come through here." Just, crazy amounts of life just emerging from all the rain. So
yeah. You get
pretty
lots
cool.
of. My first trip to Uluru, it rained. It was only for like an hour or something, or it might have been a day. I might
Mhm.
have been remembering it wrong. But
Yeah.
all the it was like the frogs or toads that they're like, yeah, we don't see these. These are
Yep.
buried for until there's a rain, and then they were everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It was hard driving back from Uluru because of all the frogs, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, that was pretty cool. I'm not very great at frog ID, so I think
no,
I've got pictures of them on there that I've tried to ID the best of my ability. But yeah, they were some cool ones. I really like kind of that spade foot look, the big fat,
that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure
toads
that's
that
the one.
bury themselves,
Yeah,
or
the ones I
frogs.
saw look very similar to that. Okay, Scott will
Yeah,
be cussing me now. I'm not a frog guy.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Um, anything else that might help people that keep Akis in captivity? So pretty rocky. What was
Yeah.
the substrate like?
Yeah, kind of sandy, rocky, sandy soil. But yeah, they had burrows under these big rocks. And that was that first one as well that was sitting on the big rock. He just dove down underneath the edge of the rock
Yeah,
in the burrow system. So they are definitely burrowers. And, if you're keeping Ackies, you want to give them a deep substrate that they can burrow into, and, something
yeah,
maybe they can burrow under. But, take care not to have them crush
crush
themselves by
themselves.
digging too many
Yeah,
burrows under a big rock, because that could also happen. So, but yeah, very, very cool species. And it was, even though it had been raining a lot, that day was very sunny and very hot. Like
I was gonna say
yeah,
October would have been pretty hot. I was
right,
in Alice Springs in May, and it's the complete opposite. It was
yeah,
freezing cold at
cold.
night. I think it
Uh-huh.
was like 12, 15 degrees
Yeah,
Celsius. I think that is
yeah.
probably in the 50s or something Fahrenheit.
Mhm. Yeah, it gets
So yeah,
very cold in the winter. It can get down to freezing, some
yeah.
nights. So
So
yeah,
I'm
that's
sure that's got something to do with breeding them. If you're not just heating them all the time, I'm sure you can give them some
right.
time off
Good,
and then heat
yeah.
them up.
Yeah, yeah, but not a true hibernation, because it does get, warmer
Yeah,
during the day. And then I think too, like during, this last trip, we didn't see any Ackies, and it was very hot. Same thing with the bearded dragons, like none out. So I wonder if a lot of these desert lizards also have estivation periods where they just hang out and conserve energy. They're not out, hunting or anything
yeah,
like that. Unless a rain comes through or something, they're probably inactive a lot of the summer as well. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Too hot. Yeah,
yeah,
the
yeah.
other.
That's the I guess the goal of reptiles is to conserve energy, and not have
Yeah,
to be out there all the time eating food, which is yeah, we went out to the telegraph station, which is a cool spot. Lots of neat monitors out there. We saw this little juvenile tristis sitting on a fence post. It was actually in one of the cracks of the fence post. Once I came over and started taking, but it was very bold. It just kind of sat there and let me take pictures of it, and dip down into one of the cracks of the fence post. There were a few other little skinks and other lizards hanging out in the fence post as well. So pretty
have you
cool.
found many tristis in Central Australia? They're going to be really prolific there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen them there in Central Australia, but I think we saw maybe just the one on this trip. I know we saw
Yeah,
them in Western Australia as well, in Carragini, and
yeah,
up in Chichester Millstream. Yeah, very cool species. They're widespread. Um, yeah, the iconic Flavy.
so
I don't
good.
know
Yeah,
if you recognize Flavy, but they're, I
yeah,
guess,
yeah, yeah. Flubberfist, yeah, still
yeah.
calling them that.
Yeah, just a beautiful species. This one, we were driving along, and it came across the road and was, walking, and then of course, we opened the doors of the car and it bolts and went down a burrow. And I ran over and saw the burrow that it was down and its tail was sticking out. And so I just grabbed its tail and pulled it out. And so we were able to get some pictures, get it in hand. I don't even remember where we were. I remember Rex from Alice Springs Reptile Park put us on this road. It was like a new road out in the middle of sandy desert. And so we were hoping to go out and find some womas out there. I think it was maybe north of town a bit. But we saw this beautiful flabby and a bunch of central netted dragons, but missed out on the womas on that road.
Yeah. You usually get these in this sort of country, don't you?
Yeah.
A bit more sandy.
Yeah, central like Uluru and Catajuta down that way. They're thick.
Catajuta, I think, is where I seen mine the first time.
Yeah,
and we're on one of the. They got those big display things where you may take photos. One literally walked straight up to me, and everyone was taking pictures. We were on a bus tour, and then this monitor, I've seen this monitor scratching around, and it walked straight up. People must have been feeding it, or something. It must have been interested.
Right.
Everyone was taking pictures of Catajuta, and I was there with my camera taking 100 pictures of this Flavorufus. And then the bus wanted to go. I was like, no, we can't. This is the best thing ever. And I was like, what are you doing? Just a lizard. I was like, it's not just a lizard for me.
Right. Yeah, we stopped at was it Howard Springs or Curtin Springs? Which one down there? Getting names
Howard
mixed up in my head.
Yeah, Howard Springs is further north, I think.
Okay, so is it Curtin? Anyway, it's one of the stops on the way. There's like a roadhouse, and you can stop. We stopped for an ice cream and a drink, and just before I guess right after the kind of turn off when you head west towards Uluru, there's that stop. But I think there were three or four just on the grounds while we were drinking our drinks, and they were just walking around. One stopped and started drinking from the condensation from the air conditioner unit. Like there was a little puddle, and he's just drinking out of that. And then I was following him around with the camera, and then I heard noise behind me, and there was another one just sitting over there in the rocks, just very calm. And the guy that worked there said, they're all over here. And we see babies come out in the certain times of year and stuff. So
it's like cool. As we'll get to him going up to the Pilbara, you see him on the side. I don't know if they're Flavorufus there. They're usually Panoptes rubidius, I guess. And you stop after a while. You have to stop stopping for them because it's like every few miles there's one on the side of the road.
Yeah, but they're so cool.
Panoptes, as we'll probably get to, a lot more confident than these Gould are.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that was the last monitor of that trip, if I remember right. And then we went. Let's see, the next one is in 2011. We went up to Darwin area again with Rico Walder. Alan Rapace didn't go to this one. This was another symposium put on by this dirtbag guy that was into smuggling and all sorts of illegal activities, credit card fraud, and I think he's in jail right now. Hopefully, he kept getting put in and let out, and just all sorts of nonsense. But so in 2011 we got back for this symposium. We stopped in Sydney area where the symposium was and hung out with Peter Birch. So I got to meet Peter. Well, I met him at the first symposium, but he actually let Nick and I stay at his house before we headed on the trip up to Darwin. But
he seems like
Peter's a great guy.
He wants to come over to Indonesia last year to do some judging of reptile competitions, but there wasn't a big one this year. But I need to get him on. Actually, Peter would be a good guest.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic. One of my good friends over there in Australia. But this is all on his property. The funnel webs and the major skinks or whatever they are. Small-eyed snakes, and he took us out for a bit of herping. But we went and found this. He took us to this cemetery local to him, and we were walking just like through the cemetery looking for water dragons and stuff. And we just came across this giant lace monitor, big old male, just sitting in the basking in the next to like gravestones and stuff. And we walked up to it, and it just kind of huffed up a little bit, but sat there and tolerated us. And he's like, jump on it. I'm like, how about you show me how, and I'll get the next one, because this was an intimidating animal. I wimped out, and he picked it up. So yeah, we got wanker shots holding it. So the next shot,
and a lot of flack, I'd imagine, the Australians.
Well, nobody really noticed us, we didn't get
no, I mean off Peter saying like he caught
it. Right.
That's usually what they say. They won't let you grab it. They want to grab it themselves and then say, "Oh, see, I caught it."
No, he was telling us to grab it. So yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay. He's one of the good ones, I'm telling you. But yeah, so there's my wanker shot with the various there. I think on a subsequent trip to the same spot, we were walking through the cemetery doing, same thing. This was with my kids, and happened upon a diamond python just crawling through the cemetery in the middle of the day. Yeah, it was crazy. So kind of a
what cool sort of habitat around the cemetery then?
Kind of scrubby woodlands, but mainly like I guess typical park, some pine trees and some what looks like some bamboo behind me there, but like the creek line had some trees and stuff, but it was basically crawling through the lawn of the cemetery. So kind of crazy.
That's the weird thing about Australia. If people haven't been there, and as you know, Justin, especially in Darwin, is it's just you're just in a park, like a park in the UK. You'd be lucky to see a squirrel, and I don't know what it's like in the US, but there's really cool reptiles that you can see in just in the city center pretty much in a lot of places.
Well, and like we have pigeons and robins in our park, but they've got like parrots and galahs and stuff. You're like, whoa, these are different birds than back home. Then we headed up to Darwin. Like our first night in Darwin, we get to the accommodations, and Nick Mutton was on the trip giving a talk as well, and we were we'd finished the book, and we were releasing the book on this trip, and we ran across the Darwin carpet right in the grounds, the horse paddock around our accommodations. And the people there, like we told them like on the way in, like, hey, we're reptile people, is there any place? And they said, oh yeah, just feel free to walk around our property, and you can. So we found, they had like a nice colony of frilled lizards on there. And so we saw 2 or 3 frilled lizards, and that Darwin carpet the first night, it was really a great spot to stay. It used to be called Grungle Downs. I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but it's, a bit south of Darwin. In the farmlands or whatever you want to say. Darwin.
On the way to south is Fog Dam, that sort of area, or a bit further up?
No, further up, closer to Darwin, maybe 15 minutes out of town.
Oh, okay, we're still really close.
Yeah, maybe like Howard Springs. That's Howard Springs is up there, right?
Yeah.
So we stayed in Howard Springs on this last trip to Darwin I took, but so this was kind of a monitor light trip. I'm trying to think if we saw Scalaris. Like I didn't get a picture, so it's like a foggy memory. Oh yeah, there's Peter and Nick and Rico hanging out at the Airbnb, the Grungle Downs, and they have a nice library. And we actually met a researcher there that had done genetic work on carpet pythons. So kind of a funny coincidence, because we quoted him quite frequently in the first edition of the carpet book. So we got to meet the guy there. That frilled was fantastic. I believe this was a female too. Like she was very colorful and good size, but Peter grabbed that one as well. He went out in the morning and chased it and jumped up a tree or something and grabbed it. So came back with a big smile on his face. Yeah, they're so cool. Just one of those iconic species, you have to see. And Darwin area is a good place to see it. They're found pretty commonly on, in parks and areas that you can.
They're spoiled, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I would have been a terrible student over there, because one of the spots that you can find them pretty easily is a schoolyard, and luckily we're there on a Saturday on this last trip, or else
I went to the same place. They were doing some. I think they're doing some building work or something when I was there. I was like, this is super dodgy, big zoom lens, and right next to the school. And you're like, oh, there's like a row of houses right next to it, and if people just look out the window, they'd think it was so sad. I'm sure Gavin was trying to stitch me up.
Yeah.
Send the POM over
there. Yeah. So then we headed out to the Doe Rat Road, and another place that was kind of an interesting thing. Like, we went there the first night, and the place was just crazy, awesome. We found this breachy, or what's the other name? Yeah, Enceladicus. Again, I don't know. The taxonomy is goofy, but I like Breachy just because it's kind of a more Aboriginal name or something.
Aboriginal name, yeah. That'll always be Breachy for me, I think. I always wanted to go to is it Groot? What's the island?
Groot Island, yeah.
To find a real one. There's I think it's in Wilson's book, a really like banded black one. I was like, that's Enceladicus to me. These are
right.
I mean, just by looking at them genetically, I'm sure they're exactly the same.
Right.
Yeah, very smart. Where did you turn this up? Is this at night or not? Is it just,
no, this was during the day. We got to the Doe Rat Road a little early, so we thought, let's walk around, and just kind of pulled off the side of the road and saw some like tin or something. And so I think Rico flipped the tin and saw a tail in a burrow, or he saw it kind of go down the burrow, but he didn't get a good look at it. And so he called us over, and we were trying, like we had a little game, like guess the lizard by its tail or whatever, and I called it. I guessed the right one, but we dug it up and got some pictures, and then turned it back. There were a few burrows in the area, and it went down a different burrow. But beautiful lizard.
Really tricky. All the ones I found is on that road as well.
Really,
I've been there. Yeah. It depends on that spear grass. There's that really tall grass. Can't see the rock so well there. It can be pretty hard, but they're pretty thick through that area.
Yeah, really beautiful lizard. I was surprised how nice it looked. Very reduced pattern though. I thought it was a unique, probably a unique species, but it seems like there's a few that have been found that look like that, and so not really quite so unique, but
quite a lot of banded. I've never seen one like that. I've turned up probably a good 5 or 6 of them in the past, and never one that reduced. So it almost looks like a king orum with a spiky tail.
Right. Yeah. But beautiful lizard. Yeah. That was a fun memory with Rico too. I mean, taken too soon, and just a fantastic guy, really humble, but very knowledgeable. Everybody thought him as the green tree python guy, but man, he was like a turtle guy. I hadn't known that, until hanging out with him for a bit on a couple different trips. But this was great time with him.
Yeah, that's amazing. Such a lot of the hobby. I've never had any interaction with him, just heard stories. A lot of us have. So
right.
Seemed like a really cool guy.
Yeah. And that was the last monitor of that trip as well. But we got some, some of the pygmy Weigeli, whatever they are. I think they're probably a unique species in that area that is separate from Weigeli. I think that's the thought on those, but hard to say. I have a hard time differentiating the elapids anyway. I'm not much of an elapid guy, but on this last trip we saw a couple as well. I think I even tailed one. So I'm getting to be a true Aussie here, grabbing everything.
I'll do it no shoes on though, Justin.
Yeah. This was another example of kind of that. These we saw like. I kept getting in trouble for stopping for these Ciliaris on Doe Rat Road. They were everywhere, just like thick as can be. And I think on the last trip to Darwin, we didn't see any of them. Like we saw no Ciliaris. It's like, what the heck? You had to go up to Cunninur area to see one. So it's just one of those things where, sometimes they can be very locally abundant for whatever reason, and then other times you don't see a thing. And also, that night we cruised black-headed python, olive python, several elapids, a ton of cool lizards, some Boiga regularis that were just on fire. It was a fantastic night on Doe Rat Road. Like it just kept coming, you know. DOR, unfortunately, children's, but and interestingly, we only saw the one DOR. We didn't see any more children's pythons on that trip. But
oh, really?
Yeah, it was kind of a strange thing, but
They become a bit of a pest on that road for me.
Right.
They're
Yeah. And on this last trip we saw, probably half a dozen or so. But the next night, I think it was the very next night, we went back to Doe Rat and saw absolutely nothing. Like it was just completely dead.
I think it was Eric and Owen's first trip over there. I just sent them a message. I knew they were in the air. I was like, you got to go to Doe Rat Road.
Yeah,
like,
we gave them the same message.
Every single person said it, and then they just got completely skunked on it. And I've been back since and been skunked on it. But when it's on, it is really on.
Yeah, and we went back on this last trip in the end of 2024, and like had this just intense rainstorm. Like it was torrential downpour. You know, you couldn't even see where you were driving. So obviously we didn't see much. We saw a few things before the rain hit, and got a Weigel thing and a couple other geckos and things. But then the rains hit and just washed us out. It was crazy. Yeah. But then on my drive out to Kananura, saw handful of children's pythons, Weigel, all sorts of stuff on the road out there. Just passing through Doe Rat, one pass, you know, like it's a good spot.
Species wise, probably one of the best roads I've been on. I'm just thinking that I think the first night I hit it, I got a similar to what you got then, blackheads, children's, regularis, everything. So I was like, this is the place, but you can go there and it sucks. That's herping, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. No guarantees, right? But you just put yourself in the right spot. Next trip is a 2013 trip to Western Australia. I don't know, arguably probably one of the best places to herp in Australia. I think we started out in Perth, went up to Carragini, up all the way up to Sandfire Roadhouse, and then back down along the coast over to Exmouth, and then drop down along the coast back to Perth. But
when was that? 14?
What's that?
2014.
2013. Yeah. I think it's a Moloch skin. Two down from that 2010. But there's the route we took. So a lot of driving. I was with my wife. We rented one of those hippie vans with the bed in the back, so we could just pull over and sleep wherever we ended up. So really a nice way to do it. Started out on Rottnest Island, seeing some. We saw the Rottnest Island shingleback and the king eye, the Egernia king eye, the king's skink out there.
Realize how big Australia is. For any of our UK listeners, from Perth to about there, I think is the whole size of the UK.
Really?
From
Perth to Shark Bay?
Yeah. I think that's about right.
Oh wow!
A good 8 hours is it to get to Shark Bay?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think that's pretty much what it is for the UK. So you can fit the UK in that bit, and going all up here is a long trip. That's some serious miles.
But it was a lot of fun, and we saw a ton of great stuff. Moloch, that was Western Stimsons, a wheat belt Stimsons. We had a friend take us out. Trent Snow took us out to the wheat belt and put us on to this wheat belt Stimsons. That was pretty fun to see.
Definitely.
Yeah, the Moloch was I was flying down this road, and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, is that a Moloch? And it was my wife's probably her favorite reptile, so she was pretty excited to see
they're a tricky one to turn up as well. I've only ever turned up one live one. Plenty of dead ones. Carnarvon, I think it was, on the way up to Exmouth. They're really cool.
Yeah, they're fun. And same kind of thing. We saw them here, and then I did another trip, did basically the same trip, and didn't see any of that trip. And a couple trips to Central Australia, haven't seen one there except for DORs. But really a cool spot. If you're on the visits page, if you click on the pictures, it will expand the view. But I don't know how. Oh, it is. Is it not doing it?
No.
Okay, that's weird. But like I think we were talking about earlier, the Panoptes. Yeah, you're welcome to go to the pictures I sent you. But the Panoptes in like Payne's Find area are just really plentiful all over the place. Yeah. I think that one down towards the bottom on the left side, that's a South Australia specimen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's standing up, tripoding on the left, just to left where you are. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there's that's the one from that's from the 2014 trip. But yes, good example of one. This was after a near crash we had with a road train. I was passing one road train and we were going, and it was so long, it took me so long to get around it. It was started going around this bend, and then all of a sudden another road train's coming straight at us. So I had to pull off the side of the road, which was, more natural because it was like you were just pulling off the right side, the correct side in America. So, but yeah, my friends are just looking at me going, whoa, we almost died there. Thank you. You just about killed us. And then I guess our consolation prize was this guy was hanging out on the side of the road, and so he took off. So we chased him down, and same kind of scenario where Steve, my buddy, grabbed his tail and said, "Grab him behind the head." I'm like, "You grab him behind the head," And after a bit of back and forth, I ended up grabbing him. But yeah, this was right after his release. He tripoded and opened his mouth. There's another shot on the opposite side of the photos there with his mouth wide open. Yeah. Down one. Yeah, right there. But yeah, just a little T-Rex. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. These stand their ground a lot more than the Gould-eye, like we said earlier, which makes it easier to photograph.
Yeah.
The Gould-eye tend to do the flat thing on the floor. You get too close and scurry off. These will give it a bit of a go. Get
up in your face. Yeah, they were very cool lizards. But on the 2013 trip, my wife and I were driving along, and there was one on the side of the road. I'm like, "Oh, was that a rubidus?" And she's like, so we went back and or we kind of reversed and it was gone. And so we went up the road a bit and then came back to that same spot and was there again, just eating a DOR kangaroo, like on the side.
Oh, wow. And proper Australia, that is.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So I got some really nice shots of that one, and kind of that one above right where your cursor is, the opposite side. Yeah, right there. That was one of the shots I got of that one, just tripoding again. Yeah, it's like one of those things, just kind of walking along and then all of a sudden it stands up and just gives you the side eye. You're like, "Oh, this is cool." Yeah, this is what it's all about there.
Pattern on those rubidius is really nice.
Yeah, they're beautiful lizards, but and very plentiful. I think we got up to Carragini and there was one like in the middle of the road, and a big road train was coming. So I got out of the car and was like trying to get it off the road and trying to alert the road train. Well, fortunately it slowed down, the road train slowed down and I was able to get it off the road before, but it was not bothered by me. It was kind of early in the morning, so it was a little slow and dumb, but yeah, I'm like, "Come on, dude, get off the road." Like, and he's like, puffing up and holding his ground. I'm like, "No, this is the opposite of what I need you to do here." Yeah. Very cool lizards. And in this, just after this guy, we were looking for, the Egernia depressa and some other stuff. And I was walking along looking for that, and all of a sudden I see this Caudalineatus, the striped-tailed goanna, sitting on the side of a tree. And I'm like, "Oh, that perfect," and it was low on the tree and it was kind of looking like it was pretty bold. It was letting us approach. And I'm like, I'm gonna try to go for the grab. And yeah, that was the wrong move. I should have taken pictures and went for the grab and missed it. And then it vanished. I have no clue where it went. I couldn't hear it, rustling in the hollow or something. Like, it was just gone. And I'm like, my wife didn't see where it went, but I'm like, "You saw that lizard, right? It was there. I didn't just imagine it." "Oh yeah, I saw it." So
like I was saying before, they've skunked me every single trip. I thought I got one on the last trip, and I can't remember what it was. not loads of depressor, obviously.
Mhm.
It was some sort of a garment, and obviously you see depressor also, they've got the spiky tail. This one had like a normal size. Oh, it's got to be, and then it wasn't again.
Shoot.
They're tricky.
Yeah, there's some
Tricky
nice gamuts out there too. Those bicycle dragons are really pretty, and some of the other stuff. What is that? Tenophorus scutellatus or whatever. Really fun. Oh, we road cruised a pebble mimic dragon, one of those earless dragons, the Tympanocryptus. I'm not sure. I think they changed the name of it. It used to be Cephalus. I'm not sure if it still is or if they've changed it, but so convincingly rocky looking, very difficult to spot unless you, and it was interesting that I saw it, while we were road cruising at night. It was just hanging out in the middle of the road. Kind of crazy.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I was trying to look for it on this small little screen.
Yeah,
I've got,
exactly.
Yeah, I've never seen one. Not that they're easy to find. But,
right. Yeah, this was just kind of a fortunate luck.
Yeah.
We were out there looking for the vertebralis knobtail geckos, which we found a bunch of, and also I got into trouble with Scott a little bit because we found one of the what is it, the butler eye? Is that what it is? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is, that area is known to be a good spot for those. But I didn't know it was a special find. I'm just like, oh yeah, we saw this cool lapid out there. I told Scott, and he's like, he called me a lot of nasty names, but yeah, he's like, I haven't found one of those, and you just luck onto one, and you don't even know what it is. Like, I got chewed out a bit for that one, but really cool snake. And again, like I was following it, taking pictures, trying to figure out how to corral it. I didn't want to mess with it. This was like, one of my first elapids in Australia or something. And
it's not one to get bit out.
Yeah, right. We were out in the middle of nowhere. And,
so
and then same kind of thing. I got a couple pictures. I turned around to ask my wife to get, a better flashlight or something. And I look back and it's gone. I can't figure out where it went. Yeah, it just vanished on me. But I did get a couple crappy shots before it took off. But yeah, heading up into the Pilbara, I think Pilbara has got to be one of my favorite places on earth. It's such a cool place. Yeah. And we got to some of the gorges. We went through Dale's Gorge, and incidentally, my wife and I were arguing because she said I couldn't go out at night, into the gorges by myself at night and leave her alone in the vehicle or something. And so I'm just like, come on, honey. But yeah, we came across this lizard.
I remember when you posted this, my first trip to the Pilbara was a year after. I must have pestered the hell out of you to tell me where these were. I was like, the good thing was, because it's so light. I don't know if you find it, Justin, like back then, there was nothing on YouTube really. There was your videos on YouTube, but no one was really going out there at all. It was pretty rare. And just to know that someone not Australian had gone there and turned some monitors up was like really good. Right. And then I was super excited.
Yeah. On a subsequent trip, we found a pair out there as well, like in a different spot. But yeah, they seem to be fairly reliably found in the gorges in Carragini. Just a cool place. I could have just spent 2 weeks there, and I think I might, go back and just spend a week or two.
I thought about just doing a Carragini trip, just get up there and spend all your time in that sort of area. And, do that. Yeah, amazing. There's loads of stuff to do, even when you're not herping, swimming, all sorts.
Yeah, all the gorges. I mean, we had a little bit of a misadventure. Me when I went on the 2014 trip, basically the same area, but we did a little canyoneering, I guess, and there was this spot where you could slide down the rocks and go off a waterfall, and down about 20 feet into the waterfall and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, we got to do that. But then the YouTube video I watched made it look like it wasn't a difficult descent from the second, because the water wasn't deep enough to jump off or land in a pool. And so, but it was definitely needed ropes and all this kind of stuff. And so I'm like, oh crap, I just led us to our deaths or whatever. But I had a rope, and it wasn't a rappelling rope or anything like that. So we just kind of looped it through, and I just slid down the rope. That was kind of my solution. And then my buddy's like, yeah, I can't do that. I'm like, wait, what? That's our choice. You can stay there, or you can slide down the rope. And he said, well, I want you to belay me. I'm like, this is not a climbing rope. It's not meant to belay. I said, the best thing I can do is like slow your fall, and I said, okay, you know, get down on the edge of the rock, and then just kind of let yourself drop, and I'll slow you down with the rope. I had gloves and, you know, that kind of thing. And he lost his balance or something, and he swung, and the rope just snapped, and he fell, landed on his leg and his arm. I'm just like, oh crap, you know. He's like, my leg, it's broken. So yeah, and then we had to hike out of the canyon. Fortunately, it was a lot of water, so I was just pushing him on a tube through the water, and I'm a swimmer, so it was, you know, not too bad. But then that hike out was pretty miserable for him, and it was crazy.
Bad one. Another bad spot to anything to happen.
Exactly.
They've made it easy. I don't know if you've been back since. I went back when we went there down to Fortescue. It was like all rocks and stuff. There's like a nice walkway down there now.
Oh, really? Yeah, sometimes I hate it when they do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like what drove me nuts was every 5 feet there was a little sign that said you're on the trail, or this is the path. I'm like, we're in a canyon, like we're in the gorge, there's nowhere else we can go. Of course we're on the trail. Like, what do you think? It drove me nuts. You couldn't take a picture without having those stupid little triangles in there. Yeah, like, come on. It was annoying.
They've made it super easy. I'm imagining now it's probably super busy, so that's the problem with some places. Like I went a year after you went there. It was very special then, and not that many people there.
Right.
But when they make it too easy, it can become you know, not so good.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, the roads were rough in part of that area. Like driving, I think, over to the west side of it was that road was a nightmare. And then my wife and I spent we were driving it at night the first time, and then we found out there was a paved road that paralleled that road that would have made it much easier. And, you know, we could have herped on the road, and, you know, instead we're driving this horrible rocky, you know, road in our rental, just thinking we're going to pop a tire or something. But yeah, those Hammersleensis are nice looking lizards for sure. Cool. Yeah. This was a big male that was on the 2014 trip, but just hanging out in the gorge. Yeah. They're fun.
Again, surreal. It's a surreal place. I mean, if anyone's gonna go to Western Australia, you got to get up to Karajini. It's like desert and nothing, and then you get to a car park and walk over, and there's just these beautiful gorges.
Yeah,
it's just it doesn't seem right. And then, as you say, you can see Hammersleensis there, which are just fantastic, really. And you doesn't get much better.
Yeah, that was the other annoying thing, is all the signs were like class 4 climbing required or something, and basically that means you have to go up and down a ladder. So, and my wife was freaking out. She's like, class 4 climbing, I don't think I'm a class 4 climber. I'm like, so I went and did a gorge, and I was back, and, you know, she's like, oh, you're back already? I'm like, oh yeah, it was easy. And she's like, oh, okay, so class 4 doesn't mean anything special. I said, can you climb a ladder? Okay, you're good. You're class 4 in Australia or whatever.
I did a similar one on the last trip I did to Darwin in Kakadu. There's like all this information saying how hard this walk was. It was just like a long walk. Yeah, so there's nothing hard about it. It's like, if you had no water, then it must be really difficult. I was like, no, I was with my mum. I was like, no, it sounds really, really sketchy. I'm gonna go on my own, get up really early. Got up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, did this walk, and I was like, oh, it's actually probably one of the nicest like walk just through the bush there is. But all the bumps you see, and even people that have reviewed it, you're like, oh, come on, guys. Maybe they just want to keep it secret. Maybe that is a good thing.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. It might scare people off that aren't into it as much. But yeah, and a lot of these hikes we had all to ourselves. My wife and I, you know, were just out there, didn't see very many people, had the place to ourselves pretty much. And we were she was a little nervous about the snakes, of course, you know, especially the venomous snakes. And I'm like, oh no, this is well traveled, we're not going to see anything. And sure enough, you know, she comes across a king brown, a mulga, you know, crawling through the rocks, and it's like, there's one right here. I'm like, okay, watch this. You know, I stamp my foot, and it kind of looks at us and then takes off. You know, didn't want to have anything to do with this. And so I'm like, they're more afraid of you, you know, than you are of them. Kind of thing. But she settled down. You know, she was a little more comfortable and let me kind of go out and take pictures of them. She wasn't so nervous about them. But yeah, this was the trip we rolled up on this mulga eating a dead on the road death adder. It was like peeling it up off the pavement, trying to eat it. And so, I stop. I'm like, what is that snake doing? It looks weird. Is it hit or something? And then, I'm like, whoa, it's eating something. So I'm taking pictures, and it takes off and leaves. And so I got my snake hook and took the death adder over to it and put it in front of it, and it finished its meal right there on the side of the road. It was so cool. Yeah. And I just actually got that published in Herpetological Review, that observation, I guess, or natural history moment. Yeah, so I keep looking for it, but it seems like they're not publishing as frequently as they have in the past. So hopefully they're not, in trouble or something. But should come out soon in the next issue, I guess, of Herpetological Review. But kind of fun. Another notable thing, we ran across the Woma up kind of near Port Hedland. That was a good find. Just on the trip report. And on our way back from Sandfire Roadhouse, we came back down and went over to Chichester Millstream.
Another amazing place.
Yeah, so beautiful. And we got to Python Pool kind of early in the morning. Just another iconic, cool spot. Wading around in the water, letting those little fish nip your toes, and just cool. We saw probably half a dozen Pilbarensis, Pilbara rock monitors, just cruising around the rocks. It seemed like they were all over the place. I got some really nice video footage. It was fantastic. And a Tristis as well. There was a Tristis up in the tree, just kind of hanging out on a branch. Really,
you sent me the picture.
Yeah.
I remember messaging you at Python Pool, going, "Where did you find them, Justin?"
Right.
I can't remember anywhere. I had to walk. I had to go out of the gorge and then walk up the hill, and I went and found a Pilbarensis just on the rocks, but not in the gorge. But I think I got there a bit late, and then I went on another trip, and I was like, "No, Justin's definitely got videos and pictures," and you told me they're there. I saw a flash of a tail, and never seen any Pilbarensis in the actual Python Pool, but it would be an amazing spot to see him because it's nice. And easy there.
Well, I think we got there pretty early in the morning, so I think that was part of the reason we were able to see them. But hanging out. This was one from Caragini on the 2014 trip that was hanging out in the log over wasn't the opposite end of Circular Pool, the other end of Dale's Pool. It was just right there. And it was kind of a funny thing because I saw it a ways off, like, just that head sticking out from a dead tree. And I'm like, oh, there's a monitor. And my buddy, this was like one of his, first herp trips. He hadn't been on many. And he's like, how in the heck did you see that? What is going on here? Like, I'm never going to be a real herper if that's what it is. It was kind of funny. But let's see. There's another Hammersley from that was a fun. I climbed up above it, was trying, of course, trying to get better pictures of it because we were down below. I think I had one of the guys, Steve and Mike, below it, looking up at it, and I don't think I sent that to you, but
that's a really, really good shot. It might be on your website.
I think 2 over from that is the Tristis that was at Python Pool. There we go. Yeah. Such a, and again, it was like, I just kind of heard some scraping on the bark, and I look over and there's this Tristis like climbing up the tree, goes up and, it's just kind of foraging, hunting along the tree limbs. And then it kind of came down and just sat there and watched us for a bit. And then it basically like slid down the trunk of the tree head first. It was pretty cool to watch it move around. Just very, very capable lizards. They can, cross the terrain really well. Chasing those Pilbarensis around, just following them, videoing. I was just following around with the video cameras that climbed up the rocks and stuff. And if I got a little too close, it would take, just kind of zip away. And I'd have to
And
kind
sort
of
of
catch up.
come back out again.
Yeah, they were pretty bold, at least the ones I was able to find. Saw some up kind of higher up on the rock wall and stuff, and have some cool footage on the video of that, doing the little tail wiggle thing.
Yes, I was
Yeah,
about to say there's if you search what's your channel on YouTube? I think I found it just by putting Pilbara Rock Monitor in YouTube.
yeah, right.
And,
My YouTube username is JG Julander, so
yeah,
it's, all my videos are under that handle. But
yeah, cracking footage on there if anyone wants to see that.
It's fun. But yeah, they're just, I think that's one of my probably my second favorite monitors. The Pilbara Rocks. They're so beautiful, just that red. And I'm a desert rat, and so anything out in the desert just gets me excited. So yeah, this was definitely one of those. It was high on my list to find. And this was this trip was before they'd split them into Hammersleensis and Pilbara. So I just thought we saw two localities of Pilbrances, but it turned out to be two different species. So one of those armchair ticks, where like, oh, he split them.
I'm a full-on splitter, but it is a bit dubious, that one, when that river is dry for half the season. It doesn't seem right that they can't. But I don't know.
Right. And
I'd rather have more species of monitors than less. But that one might be if you believe in the subspecies thing, that might be a subspecies. That one.
Yeah, that's true. They are fairly similar looking, but they do have some pretty big differences when you compare.
Oh yeah.
There's some overlap for sure. Yeah, one of those things. But that was
how close you can get up near Panawanica. I think, is it Panawanica?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you get up there, but it's literally that Fortescue River, I think, splits two sides of an escarpment where you should be able to get them on different sides. But I don't know how much they overlap up that side. But like I said, I'm a splitter, so I'm happy to have two species.
More species, yeah. For sure. Yeah. And then we headed over to let's see. I think that might have been it for the species on that trip in 2013. I think you might be able to stay on there, because I guess we basically did the same trip. I think on our first pass through Carragini, we didn't see Hammersleensis. Well, we saw him again in Dale's Gorge. We didn't see him in the other gorges, but I'm sure you can find him there as well. We did go back to Python Pool, but we were a little later in the day, and I hiked up the side of the, to the left of the waterfall or whatever, and saw one up there. But Steve, that was after Steve had hurt his leg, so he didn't make it up there. And then on that trip, we went over to Exmouth, and we were pretty beat, pretty tired. So we were all kind of laying down in this park, just in town, just getting some rest. There was a shady spot with some grass, and so we just laid out our sleeping pads, and we're getting a little shut eye. And then I guess Steve couldn't sleep. He went back to the car for something, and he comes running over. He's like, Parenti. And I was like, did one of those Jackie Chan moves where I jumped up onto my feet, from a laying position or something, and ran. I was that was the one word that would bring me full out of a sleep for sure. But yeah, this guy was cruising under our car, and then he walked through. I think he walked across my sleeping pad, and through the park, and then up on the hillside, behind the park, into some more natural woodland type habitat and kind of coastal, dune area. And then had enough of us and took off running. And there were a lot of people around. I think some of the Australians yelled at us, "Don't harass the lizard," or like,
oh, really?
like, I'm sorry, but we came a long way to see this lizard. Off my back.
That was top of the list for me. I was in Shark Bay. We'd set up camp there, and then we'd gone off for a day trip, and the homestay they knew I wanted to see a Parenti. And they were like, yeah, we get them through here. And then we do this big day trip up to Monkey Mire, and then come back, and they were like, Chris, on your pitch there was and they showed me a picture of it, a juvenile Parenti. Oh my god, that was my one chance. And went up to Exmouth, where they're meant to be pretty thick on the ground, and they're like, yeah, they're everywhere, they're absolutely everywhere. didn't turn one up, and then randomly just saw one on the way to Panawanica on the side of the road. I was
Right.
like, that trip that's the ultimate really in Australia and Western Australia for sure.
For sure.
So,
Yeah, I think I'd prefer the Central Australian ones. The Western Australian ones tend to be a little darker. This one was really nice though.
This is a nice one.
Oh, I actually, one second, let me. I did a little wood burning of based on this guy, and
nice.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's really cool.
They're just such iconic lizards. So yeah, that's one of my favorites. But yeah, Parentes, man. And on this, well, I guess we can get to that later. I'll tell the story when we get to Central Australia next. But I think the next I think that was kind of more of the same. We got we started in Sydney again and got another couple lace monitors with Peter Birch. He again let us stay at his house. Nice guy. And then saw, I guess, the same. We saw a Tristis in Dale's Gorge as well as the Hammersliensis on that second trip. And those pictures that you just showed of the Hammersliensis were from that 2014 trip. More Rubidus. We got a really nice Gouldy from the Pinnacles out kind of north of Perth. What's the proper name?
You've done really well there as well. I've turned up one shingleback once, and I've probably been to the Pinnacles 4 or 5 times now.
Yeah. Again, just one of those timing things. Yeah, this thing was just gorgeous. Again, it took off running, went down a burrow, but its tail was sticking out. So I was able to just kind of pull it out, stick it on the rock. It had ducked under, for a nice kind of iconic pose shot of one on the Pinnacles. But we saw a couple of them in that area. Really kind of a darker, really nice looking. I guess they're Gouldy there. I'm not sure.
I think they might still be Flavirufus.
Really? Gouldy, yeah, they have that really yellow tail tip. But, whatever they are, they're nice looking.
Really nice.
For sure. So that was another nice find. Yeah, and like all through the Pinnacles, we were just following shingleback tracks. Like you'd follow them, and then there's a pair, and it was pretty cool.
That's another place that they've ruined. They've put a big boardwalk in, and it's gentrified again is the best word for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better not to go back to these. I took my mum there because she hadn't obviously been there before. I'd just drive past it now probably because it's a bad spot for me for reptiles. You'd probably want to go there, but it might ruin it a little bit for you from what it was like back then.
Right. Yeah, and I think we kind of went to the furthest point that you could go and then kind of hiked from there. So we were out. We didn't see any people out there or anything, Yeah. And got that imbricata, that carpet python out there. And of course the lizard guy that was with the 2 python guys found it. He's like, hey, I think I got one of your pythons over here. No way. And it was deep in shed, but it was just coiled up in the middle of the day, like next to one of the Pinnacles. I wish I would have got an in situ, as it was found picture, but he grabbed it and picked it up and showed us. I was like,
probably better than they getting away. They're another tricky one. Those
right. Yeah.
They're not easy.
Yeah, that area was the same place I found the first one on that 2013 trip with my wife. We saw like 3 DORs in this area, and I'm like, they've got to be thick in here. Like if you're seeing this many, and we hadn't seen any other DORs anywhere else through Western Australia. So I said we need to stay here till after dark, and it was like we were flying out the next day, and we were staying with a friend in Perth, and so she didn't want to make them have to wait up late for us or anything. So I called them and said, hey, we're going to be late. Just leave the door open or whatever. And sure enough, about 10 minutes after the sun went down, this big female was crossing the road, and I was like, this is so cool. And it was gorgeous. Like that one was not in shed, and it was a nice looking animal. But such a cool place. I really thought that was another magical place, the Pinnacles, the orange sand and the just rocks sticking up out of the ground. Cool place. Nambung is the Aboriginal
Yeah.
National Park. But yeah, seeing galahs like hanging out on the top of the pinnacles, and then of course posing the imbricata on the pinnacle was just kind of one of those target photos that I always wanted to get. But
is that on this trip or is that on the next one? You got these are the pinnacle. For anyone that doesn't know, I'll bring it up. The pinnacles are these. I don't know what they're made out of. It's sandstone. Must be sandstone.
I think so. It looks really sandstone.
Yeah. Not that I'm a geologist. But yeah, these just everywhere. It's all flat for ages, and then you got all these weird pinnacles. But yeah, these are the imbricata. Shame I can't bring them up any bigger.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that doesn't let you expand that. But yeah, that was a fantastic trip. I mean, we went through the same place, basically kind of the same trip. We saw a few new species, and it seemed like, so this was in November, this 2014 trip. This was the 2013 trip, and we did that in October. Got a lot of unique new species, and then the 2014 trip we did similar. We got I think we got a similar species count, but not as many. Like, it seemed like the October trip was just, there were so many on the road and just everywhere. Like, you'd see multiples of each species, but then in the 2014 trip it was like one of each, and missed out on a few, but saw a couple that we hadn't seen on the previous trip. But yeah, very cool. I don't know, I'd highly recommend Western Australia. It's such a
everyone seems to go to the east, but that west, if you're a herper, that west is, I don't know anywhere else in the world that's as good for herping as that, that coast of Australia, for species and how easy it is, and how comfortable it is, and how beautiful it is. It's amazing.
And not many people either. Yeah, exactly. We had another trip planned for 2019, 2020, but of course, the pandemic kind of shut that down.
I suppose the boys haven't wanted to get out there. Eric and Owen haven't done, especially Eric, the Western Australia.
Yeah, that was the trip that was planned, and I don't know why they went back to Darwin before they did up Western Australia. I thought that would have been. It is a little bit more of a complicated trip, especially from the United States to get to Perth, but it's worth it. Just such a cool place.
Like I said, for anyone listening, check out Justin's website. There's amazing, if you're into herping, there's an amazing range of herp trips and pictures on there. I'm just looking through now.
Yeah, I'm a little behind. I still need to get a few up there, but yeah, australianaddiction.com. And then if you click on the visits tab up at the top, you can see.
Let me bring him up. That's annoying. That's a crack a photo of that imbricata.
That's a fun one. Yeah. Posed, of course, but what do you do?
It's got to be done, mate.
Yeah.
Actually, no, you're not allowed to touch anything. You should be putting a disclaimer out there.
Exactly. It climbed up there on its own.
Climbed up there.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go to?
The 2016 trip. It's a diamond python pattern. Yeah. And this was a trip with my kids. This was the time when we found the diamond python crawling across the lawn of the cemetery, and went out and found some of the pygmy banded pythons. That was pretty cool part of that trip. And I guess kind of full circle, I was just able to import some of those from the UK. So
oh, really? Yeah,
with some captive bred specimens. So it's fun to have.
They seem to get really common in the UK all of a sudden.
Yeah,
I mean, well with a few other people.
Right, typical Antaresia. They are easy to breed. Like not the most difficult things to breed. So, not too surprising that they're doing well and being captive bred in numbers. This was the trip we found that Boyd's forest dragon with the ice cream and that black lace monitor that was crawling around in Mossman Gorge. Really cool looking. I think I sent that second picture of it, the one that's climbing through the leaf litter, but just I think that's probably one of the most beautiful lace monitors I've seen. Just so dark, but with those bright white and yellow spots all over it. Almost kind of reminded me of a Salvadori.
I was literally just about to say that when you sent
Yeah.
it through. I was like, I'm sure Justin hasn't been to Indo, especially
Yeah.
not but yeah, very
Congrats, by the way, on finding. Yeah, I mean, with Nick and Ryan,
Oh yeah,
that's
they're two lucky boys for two
Yeah.
piping guys. They're extremely lucky.
right. Yeah, they knocked it out of the park with the monitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a trip I need to do. It's
Yeah, for sure.
had such, I don't know. It's always cool to see a wild branded. And then we headed down the coast and we went and stopped at Jurama Falls and got this Bell's Lace monitor. Yeah, in a tree next to me holding the Lacey on the left of it. Yeah. Terrible picture, but like I didn't have my camera, or I think, well, what was it? It was another of the I'm going to try to grab at things instead of taking a bunch of pictures first. You know, I've learned my lesson as I've gotten older and wiser. Now I take pictures. I don't even try to grab stuff anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like not worth it. And it's technically illegal, I suppose. But so I was going to show off to my kids, like, watch me catch this big lizard, you know, and yeah, missed it. It ran clear up the tree. So this is the best picture I got of it. But yeah,
what area was this again, Justin?
Jurama Falls. I believe that's by, is it by, oh, shoot.
Any further west, or this is the sort of area where the normal phase is common?
It's south of Cairns a bit, by Mackay, maybe. I can't remember where Jurama Falls is. I think I even looked it up recently. But okay, sorry. But yeah, it was, yeah, we were just doing the hike there to Jurama, and he was just very soon after the car park. And I think I didn't have my big SLR. I had like a little, kind of just a mini camera, and he popped out and was walking along the trail, and then he went up a tree when he saw us, and then of course I scared him further up the tree. But it's it's between Cairns and Townsville, maybe closer to Townsville. So up
still
there,
quite close to the coast, then not inland.
Yeah, pretty close to the coast.
Okay,
it was just off that coastal highway, the A1. Kind of just south of Ingham. But yeah, nice little. It was a beautiful waterfall. We saw like a whip snake of some sort there as well, and caught a turtle that was swimming in the pools, kind of down below the falls. But a nice little hike, and yeah, I was pretty thrilled to see a Bell's phase. I still think that Mossman Gorge animal is prettier, but the Bell's phase is really iconic and cool looking.
I just can't believe we've got them in captivity now.
Right.
Can you imagine, like,
it's crazy.
I saw one at Australia Zoo and it was like, no, I'm never ever going to get one of those. And you probably thought the same looking at that. There.
Exactly. You know, it's interesting, you know, and I think that's kind of the idea, right? That once if they would just allow legal exports, we can captive breed them and do the rest here. You know, a lot of the Australian species are very tough. You know, they survive these very harsh, and so they really do pretty well in captivity for the most part. Yeah, definitely. As long as you can give them their, you know, what they need, they're okay. So yeah,
very cool. Very jealous of that one.
Yeah, the other exciting find on that trip was cassowaries, modern dinosaurs, cool, just so cool. But and a nice jungle carpet python that was fun to find. Kind of one of those another coincidental things where we were driving and there was some people on the side of the road that were having car issues or something, and I drove past them. I'm like, I don't know about cars. I'm a tourist here. And my daughter's like, Dad, we should help those people. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll go back and see if we can offer them help. And then we turned around and went back, and they had left. You know, they'd left in the meantime. I think somebody was just puking or something on the side of the road. But and then I saw this little side road. I'm like, well, let's just drive up this while we're while we're here, and there was a jungle carpet crawling across the road. So
Amazing.
yes, you try to be a good person. Well, my daughter's a good person. I was trying to follow her example and be a good person. So, and we got, I guess, rewarded with a jungle carpet python.
Good karma, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. The next trip was in, so the pandemic hit, so we had to miss out on a trip or two there. And then the next one wasn't until 2023. We were down in South Australia. I went and started in New South Wales, gave a talk at the Hawkesbury Herpetological Society meeting. Was, lucky enough they flew me over for that. Colin South is a great guy. Flew me over and had me speak to their group. It was really a fun time. He took me out herping too. We got to see some really cool stuff. Andrew Melrose is a snake catcher out there, and he let me release some of the things that he'd caught that day. So we released a diamond python and whip snake and a couple other little snakes. I can't remember. But yeah, went and found a bandy and some Highland copperheads and just some cool stuff. Really gracious host. Took me out looking for blue tongue skinks. Found some of the alpine blue tongues. That was pretty sweet. And then I met up with my buddy Jordan in South Australia, and we got together with a couple locals. I guess one's your compatriot that's left England and lives in Australia, Steve Crawford. Yeah, great guy, just really a fun guy. So they spent a little bit of time with us, and then gosh dang, the other name, his name was Sean. He's a researcher out in Australia, herpetologist. I think he's finished his PhD. But yeah, he was great to herp with, because like any obscure little skink, oh, that's this species, he just named right off the bat. So yeah, we did several days with them, and then they had to take off for some responsibilities, and so Jordan and I continued up. So we started out in the Flinders Ranges and looking for those Flinders, gammons, carpet pythons. That was kind of the main goal there. Went and hiked this really cool gorge and saw a bunch of tree skinks and stuff in there. And then on the way out, there was this lace monitor just hanging out in the car park, looking for food. That one, really cool looking animal. But I think we had some tuna fish or something. We were throwing him chunks of tuna to get him to stick around. But really a cool animal. Always fun to see, a big monitor lizard just cruising around in the hanging out by the picnic tables or something.
Like I said, they're spoiled in there.
Yeah. And then the Flinders and the gammons is pretty hard herping. We saw about 40 shingleback skinks, so they're doing very well out there. And again, one of those locally abundant species during certain times of the year. And then we came across a really good sized Gouldy that was hanging out. It went off the side of the road down, and we were just like, man, we are not seeing any monitor lizards. And this was probably a week and a half into the trip, and finally see this Gouldy, and it went down under a culvert. So I climbed down into the culvert, and I was like kind of rolling rocks towards it to kind of scare it out. And it ran out the other side, and was, so we got some pictures of it kind of on the hillside, and really good looking lizard for sure. It was a good size too, a really robust, big Gouldy. But yeah, that trip was kind of the trip of the shingleback, and I never got sick of seeing them either. They're just such cool lizards,
They're tricky. Sometimes they can be tricky when you're looking for them, stuff like that, and then you can't take any of it for granted. A bit like we were saying with those Scalaris up in Darwin. I spent 3 years looking for them, and then now they're everywhere. So you've got to not take it for granted, because they can be tricky. Shinglebacks the same. I haven't found that many shinglebacks ever. So it's pretty crazy. I've been pretty lucky to see some shinglebacks, but yeah, this trip was just like
everywhere. Yeah, they were all over the place. And got a couple other kind of new species on my list. So like the Stokeseye, the Gidgee skinks, and got another Moloch out there, kind of their southeastern extent of their range. That was cool to see. And they're unmistakable. You see that shape walking across the road. You're like, oh yeah, there's one right there. You can see it, spot them a mile off. Pretty fun. And then another juvenile Gould's on the way back to, what is it, Adelaide? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool trip for sure, but a little light on the monitors. But we did look for Gillens in some of the areas, but didn't spend a ton of time. We spent an inordinate amount of time looking for the carpet python, so that was kind of the focus of the trip. And
no avail.
Yeah, interestingly, Jordan went back the next year with his family and found one. It was just like coming across the trail, like right by where they were staying in this campground, in the Flinders Ranges. And then he was looking at it kind of like, oh, it's beautiful. And then he kind of said, hey, send me a picture of your book, and sent him a picture with, the front the cover has a picture of Gammon's Ranges, Flinders Ranges. Yeah. And he's like, dude, I just found the exact same snake. It's the same one. It's so crazy. Yeah.
I don't know if it was you that reposted that. It might have been Jordan. I'd seen it on.
Yeah, Jordan.
That was incredible. Yeah.
Jordan posted that.
Oh, the odds.
Cool. Yeah, I know. And there was, there's of course some whispers that Matt Somerville, who took the original photo on the book, collected the animal or something. Of course that people
really? Suspect still that.
So, vindication, nope, is the same spot where he saw it, so pretty cool.
Cracking looking animal.
Oh, it's so beautiful. They're one of my favorites. I saw Paul Harris hatch some out. I'm really would like to get some of those. And yeah, they're such beautiful snakes. Yeah. The next trip was 2024. Let's see, I went with my daughters. I had my two youngest daughters. I had a trip for work out to the Gold Coast, Surfers Paradise area. And so we went up to Cairns for a few days to, go see what we could find. Ran across the Boyd's forest dragon and a couple, snakes, but it was pretty cold. It was in May, so kind of winter time and not much activity going on. So, but we, did all the hikes and saw all the scenery and stuff. So it was pretty cool. Went out to Green Island and did some snorkeling and saw some, amazing sea life and a couple, turtles. We did a little herping underwater and headed down south to the meeting and Surfers Paradise, and went up and found some of those leaf-tailed geckos, God, what's the species on those? Oh man, it's failing me. But yeah, I got out of the car to go, looking for these things, and I was in shorts and a t-shirt, and it was probably 15 degrees Celsius, I could see my breath and I just started shivering. It was so cold, but I'm like, yeah, I'm still going to go look. And of course the first leaf-tailed gecko I found, then it was like, okay, now I'm good. The adrenaline warmed me up. Yeah. But yeah, we probably saw 10 of them, on 2 nights. They were just everywhere in this spot. The Swaineye, Saltaurus Swaineye. But herp count was pretty low for that trip, and but it was a nice time. We went out and visited Troy Kulagowski, so that was cool to go visit him. And he was in pretty poor health at the time, so and it turned out to be the last visit we were to have with him before he passed away. So that was sad time. Good friend, just a great guy. So really a big loss for anybody who knew him. But yeah, kind of a light. I don't think we saw any monitors on the trip, and other than some captives from our friend Deb and Wayne Marks. Yeah, we went out to their spot. They have such a cool setup. They've got those big glass panels that surround these pits that they have Lacey's and Parentes, and so we got to get in there do a winker shot with a parenti. And of course, their carpet python collection is incredible. So
I was about to say that's right. When I was breeding carpet pythons, I used to drool over the stuff they had.
Oh yeah. So fun to visit. I guess they're almost more family than friends. The Kulagowskis and the Larkses. Good times. Then we did a trip in late 2024 back to Darwin area and went with the NPR crew. So Eric and Rob and Keith and Teresa. That was the hope. Unfortunately, their luck didn't extend to the trip with me.
They did it twice. I was thinking something's up.
Right. I mean, we did get to handle several Owen Pellies over at Gavin's place, which was so they're just an impressive snake. Just really cool.
Got tricky up there to do that sort of herping, I think, in Kakadu and stuff from what I've heard. And when I was I was waiting for the gates to open to go look for monitors, obviously, to look for Glebopalmer, and the gates were at like 7 a.m. I think, still in the morning, and I was itching to go. I was like, this is monitor hour.
It's almost
to be out at night.
I
didn't bother looking for pythons at night. I was like, I need some monitors in the morning. But they've caught wind of people going and looking for them. I think just seems to be shut down compared to when I've been there before, and it was all pretty open.
Right. Yeah, we did go up to a spot kind of close to the crossing up there, where all the crocodiles hang out. And we're gonna go up there and look for him, but it was on fire. Like that was the plan. Like we're gonna herp here tonight, and then it was on fire. So we went up another night, and one of the rangers was out, and so we talked to him. Hey, here's what we're doing, and we'd love to see an Owen Pelly python, just to take some pictures and that kind of thing. And he was really cool. He's like, okay, just make sure you stay on the trail and stick to this area or whatever, and you're fine to do that. So it was, I think, a lot of times we think all the rangers are bad guys or something.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He was there to, allow us to enjoy the wildlife, which was what we came, across the ocean to do. So
hard to stay on the trails. That's the bit that you might have fallen down a bit.
Yeah, I might have ventured a little bit off trail, but and again, I mean, you're very close to any water. You want to steer very clear of any water, and there were some ponds and pools and that were in that area. So I was like, maybe I want to stay up here on the rocks instead of going down anywhere near the water. But unfortunately,
there were at that Cahill's. That's the first time I bothered going to look. Like I said, on that trip with my mum and my uncle, and then they're just everywhere. Big saltwater crocodiles sat there. This is real,
right?
And they're not just making it up.
And then you see people out on the rocks at Cahill's fishing, and you're like, what is happening here? What are you doing? We saw one crocodile kind of like swimming beeline towards these people on the rocks, and then it went underwater. We're like, are they in trouble? Do we need to yell to them or something? But nothing ever happened. I guess it's probably rare, but still happens.
That video going around on Facebook or on the social, someone, I wouldn't say running it over. It got caught between their front and back tires, and they're dragging it along. They had to stop on that crossing.
Crazy.
Thought they would have learned.
Yeah. We went out looking for Darwin carpets kind of by the crossing at night, and man, trucks are going across there in the middle of the night. It was
Not a place to get flooded if you didn't have the right clearance.
Pretty crazy. Well, when we were headed into the Iron Range on that first trip, I was driving and one of the river crossings, and so I hadn't driven across many rivers or anything, so I'm like trying to get across, and everybody's shouting different directions, and I start slowing down, and no, speed up. I'm like, don't go too fast. And I'm just like, we started to get like bogged down a little bit. I'm like, oh no, we're gonna get stuck in the middle of this crocodile infested river. So I made it across just barely, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done with that. Somebody else tried.
It's alien for someone in the UK. It's alien. I don't know if you have it much in the States. Your driving is probably a bit more extreme than what we get. But the first few river crosses and stuff like that, you're like, what am I doing? I haven't got a clue.
So
I go fast, I go slow.
I did have a little experience with that. My dad was usually driving, and we'd go on backpacking trips and stuff. But driving across rivers in southern Utah or something. But
I was going to say in the States, you must have more more than we've got in the
Right.
UK.
But no crocodiles in those rivers, so a little
No.
safer that way. But yeah, it was really, really, neat to get back to Darwin area, because I think that trip that we made out in 2011 was kind of mostly driving. We were like driving to Kakadu, but then we had to make it back to our accommodations like that night.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
kind of a 24
It's a long
hours.
way.
Yeah. And then you're tired, and so it was just not the way to do it, stationed in Darwin to do a day trip out to Kakadu. You just
no.
effective. So much better this time around. And I think the first monitor of the trip was a Mertens eye water monitor, and that was I'd been in their range several times, and I just had never seen a Mertens. Like, it seems like that was one of the easier ones you can get. So this was like a park, one of those spots where you're pretty much guaranteed to see one. And sure enough, we walk up and there's one just right on the edge of the pool, just basking away. So got my Mertens. And fortunately, like later in the trip, we saw some in more wild situations in some of the gorges there in Kakadu, and got to see some younger Mertens swimming around. I got to swim behind it with like a 360 camera kind of thing. So I need to get those videos posted at some point, and obviously the pictures on my visits page. This one's not up yet, but yeah, very cool to see these. I was very excited because this was one I'd really wanted to tick off. And then iconic species, just really cool.
Special, yeah. Again, they can be tricky. And then on the last trip, every single bit of water went to in that Darwin area had a Mertens in.
Right.
I've been to this spot like 10 times looking for them. They've never been there. And then there was like a gravid female when I was there, just walling around, like eating crustaceans and stuff. But yeah, they're great because they're not too spooky. If you sit there for long enough, they'll sort of just swim around. So.
Yeah, this one couldn't be bothered by us. I mean, I was kind of, maybe getting its space a little bit, and you can see it's kind of puffed up a little bit, but like it just sat there. It didn't take off or anything. So, it's pretty fun just to sit and enjoy it. Yeah, they're very cool. Another fun species. And then in the gorges, it was a little more natural. They were a little more skittish, you couldn't get very close to them in that situation, but really neat species. Then we headed up into Darwin area for looking for Scalaris, and they were everywhere that trip. They were on just about every tree. You'd see a Scalaris hanging out.
That's not an exaggeration either. It's literally when you get your eye in for them, especially, is they're in every single tree.
Right. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. On the first trip out there, Rob spotted a Mitchellii, like in a tree hollow, but he just kind of got a glimpse of it, and then it dipped down into the hollow, and we didn't see it. And so we sat there and waited to see if it would come out, but it didn't make a reappearance. So much more shy than the Scalaris. The Scalaris are, they're out and they can't be bothered. You can get up right next to them and they just kind of sit there, or maybe climb up the tree a little higher, out of your reach. But really cool to see these guys. And a lot of different looks to them too. Some were really dark like this one. Others were a little lighter. Seems like the juveniles maybe a little whiter. Yeah. Really cool. And then we went back to the area, and that monitor was out again. And this time Rob got a picture of it, the Mitchellii hanging out of the tree hollow. So, but then we were walking back, kind of excited from seeing that Mitchellii. And then I spotted one on the rocks. Just hanging out. This was the male. There was also a female pretty close by, but just cool. So, we got some good shots of them. They're pretty skittish though. Like once we had, kind of all our pictures from the distance, we kind of tried to get a little closer and get some better shots, and they dipped really quick and went into a burrow somewhere under the rocks. But
there's a strange one. I've been in that spot and tried to take photos. Like I've got loads of pictures like you've got just there. Like we say, that's the famous rock there.
Right.
And I went there once, and there was some Aboriginal guys on their lunch break feeding them chicken. And I was just like, that never. As soon as I got my camera out, they just shoot off.
Wow.
Just
That's
almost
crazy.
like they've got a sixth sense that they know that they're, you know, you're on them almost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's funny.
I've sat there without my camera and they've just come
Mhm.
out and chilled out. But as soon as they know you're looking at them, they're gone.
They're gone.
Amazing
Yeah.
spot. And this is right on the beach for people that don't realize. This is
Yeah.
literally the
Yeah.
ocean is just a few feet away from there.
Yeah. Depending on the tide. At this point,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the ocean was 100 feet away from the
Yeah,
spot.
it's got a big tide up there.
Yeah, big tidal area there. But just really cool rocks too. Like there's some really amazing rock formations, just red and white, swirly
Yeah.
rocks. It was really a cool spot. Beautiful place. But yeah, very reliable to see both the Scalaris and the Mitchellii. And the frills weren't far away either. You can see them in the
Nice.
trees in the same area, long-nosed dragons were all over the place as well. Goedon or really cool.
That is the trip for someone. If you want a really easy herp trip, just fly into Darwin, and literally you don't have to be what's that? Maybe half an hour? Not even that. Probably 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's not far from the airport, and
and you be on potentially 3 species if you go a bit further for the Mertens as well. So and you don't have to do any hiking. You can just sit there. So I recommend it for anyone that wants an easy first trip, maybe.
Exactly. And then there's a nice little cafe. You can go get a coffee and a bagel.
You have an ice cream and
exactly. A cold drink if it's hot. Yeah, it's a great spot for sure. That was kind of the target in that area. And then we didn't see any. Oh well, we didn't see any, but Keith spotted a glebopalma in one of the gorges in Kakadu while we were out there. And we saw the Mertens in the same gorge there, but this glebopalma came just across the rock, and Keith spotted it for maybe 10-15 seconds, and then we came back the next day. Same thing. He was there looking at the rock and saw this thing climbing across the rock again, and we all missed it. So we went back a third time and no luck then. We just sat and stared at the rock for a few hours and missed out. So Keith saw a glebopalma, but the rest of us missed out. And I guess that's the way it goes sometimes.
They don't hang about. They don't give you much of a chance to even get your camera out or do anything. But
exactly. Yep. And unfortunately, around this time of the trip, in Kakadu, I'd left my camera in the car. I didn't bring it in at nighttime, and then we slept in a bit because we were pretty worn out, and my camera fried in the car, so I didn't have my long lens anymore, which was a real bummer because the next stage of the trip, I took off on a solo mission up to Western Australia, kind of along the border in the East Kimberley, near Kununurra. That was kind of where I was based, I guess, out of. But so I didn't have my long lens, and the primary goal was to find a glauerdii, and so it went up to the Lake Argyle area. There were some records up there, and it would just look like a really cool place to explore anyway. And so there was this INAT record on the edge of the lake. And so I kind of thought, well, I'm going to try to find one on the edge of the lake, kind of in a similar vicinity. And so I hiked down, kind of made my own path through the spinifex and stuff, and down along the rocks to the edge of the lake. And sure enough, like I had some binoculars because my camera was dead. So I'm scanning the rock face, and all of a sudden there's a glauerdii just sitting on this edge of the canyon, over about maybe 20-30 feet off the water on the side of the cliff, just basking. I'm like, there we go. There it is. That was pretty cool to see kind of that plan come together, and so easily, just like get to the spot, look on the rocks, and there it is. But I didn't have a camera, so I tried to take some garbage photo with my cell phone through the binoculars and got this blurry image, but at least it verified that I had seen it. I wasn't imagining it at like the
Did you stay at the I think it's called Lake Argyle campsite, a really good campsite up there.
Yeah. It has the like the infinity pool that looks like
yeah.
Yep, I
Yeah,
stayed there. It was kind of crazy because I was getting ready to go out herping for the night, and went and did a few passes on the road, and came back. And I was gonna get a drink of water or something, and go back out, and all of a sudden like the wind picked up, and there's like lightning in the area, and so I'm like, well, I better get out, and started driving, and then all of a sudden just got hit with torrential rain. I came back and my tent had blown like somewhere else, and so it was like, it was crazy, like the wind and everything was just insane. So I just packed everything into my car and slept in the car for a few hours, and then woke up and everything had settled down. So I got the tent out and slept on a little more comfortably on the ground. But it was crazy weather, just can pick up at the drop of a hat. But some good road cruising out there. Saw a few children's pythons, some little spotted snakes, those Pseudo punctata, really pretty, lapid. Cool lizards and frogs and stuff. So nice
Another
spot.
road I've been unskunked on. That this should be such an amazing road. It goes through so much good habitat. I just never hit it right. I've done that stretch so many times, but it should be a good road from where it is. I think I got a olive python, a really big olive on it. That was worth it. But I've been up and down it a lot.
Jordan went back like a bit after I was up there, I think just a month or two later, and he saw like an olive python, freshwater crocodiles crossing the road up there, and also that was the other thing. As I was sitting there watching the glauerdii on the cliff face, this freshwater crocodile swam out from just below it. Like, I'm like, whoa, 2 lifers, just sitting there with my binoculars, and that was pretty cool. So
that's awesome.
Amazing spot. And then into the town, I met up with a guy that I just met on Facebook that turned out he lived in Cananura. His name's Enzo from France. Just a really nice guy, but man, that guy knows his monitors and is just he can find a monitor and
really well.
But he gave me some advice. He said, hey, go to the spot, sit and wait for the sun to shine on the rock, and a glauerdii will appear. I'm like, okay, I'll try it, and sure enough, glauerdii did appear. Gorgeous animal. Just and just it couldn't be bothered less by me. And these are all like cell phone pictures. I think this was a still from one of the videos, but just kind of hanging out there. I did post a video of kind of my search for the glauerdii on my JG Julander YouTube site, but and then have some footage of the one that was a little closer by. It showed kind of the spot where I found the first glauerdii, and show the freshwater croc swimming and stuff. But this was on one of the later days in the trip before I headed back to Darwin. But I was pretty stoked to see that. Unfortunately, the trick didn't work for Jordan when he was there, so he missed out on the glauerdii.
Oh, really?
So it's not 100%, but he also had his family with him, so I'm sure he didn't have the luxury of sitting in a spot for as much time as he needed. But
you have to go get a real glauerdii after this. That's the problem.
I know, right?
It will be something else, I'm sure.
I was just talking with that researcher, and he mentioned they'd gotten comments back on the paper, so he's just working on that. So hopefully that'll be published soon. I'm looking forward to it. But such a cool species. I'd love to see him in Kakadu. Of course, we looked for him, in some of the spots where they're at, but probably wrong time of year or something. I don't know. It's too hot.
I tried. That's the reason I went up there and didn't look for Impellis, because I was up every morning looking for them guys. But no luck, unfortunately. Definitely we'll have to make it back to Darwin area sometime to give those glauerdii another shot there. And then I again met up with Enzo. We went down to south of Cananura a bit and found an Ocreatus, so that was cool. Hanging out near a burrow. We were looking for Kingorum. At first thought, is this Kingorum? Kind of like similar look to him, but with the spiky tail. We're like, no, this is the Ocreatus. So it took us a minute to
to realize we didn't have a king orum, but it was an ochreatus. But still a really cool find, and
Oh yeah,
maybe the harder find than the king
yeah,
orum.
I've not found one. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I found king orum, but not these guys.
Yeah, so I was just happy we found anything, because again, it was just so hot, like it was miserable, and you're just slogging through like this wash, looking for monitors or something. But it was pretty rough herping and just so hot. So I think Kununurra is probably better done in the late fall or early spring, before things just heat up too much. But beautiful area. I really enjoyed my time up there. And also I didn't realize that some of those national parks close down when it gets too hot. So like the Bungles, I was going to go out there, and it was closed for the season. I'm like, oh, guess I'm not going out there. And
I drove all the way to Catherine Gorge and got there, and they'd had a time slot. So if I got there like 2 hours before, I could do the walk. But if they hadn't closed the whole park, so I went all the way up to the trail, and it was just blocked off from like 12 until 4. I was like, I'm not waiting around for that.
That's
I mean, it gets really hot, doesn't it?
Right,
that's the thing.
right.
I'm sure they get
plenty of tourists getting lost and dehydrated, and find their desiccated shell later. It is a rough landscape. And I mean, I went out to Keep River area to go have a look around there for kind of the glauerdii types out there, and it was just blisteringly hot. I was the only person in the campground, like, and I was miserable. Like, I was not having it, and I got stung by a wasp in Kununurra, and my hand was all swollen up, and my watch band was way tight on my arm. Like, man, this is just miserable time. So I was not having it. So I'm like, I did one night there, and then I went over to Catherine and found olive pythons and blackheads instead. So I think another good spot. Yeah, I'd like to make it back out there though, because that Kununurra area is just so cool, and a lot of cool stops on the way back for more monitors that I really need to check out.
Well, that's the problem with that stretch up there. The amount of good looking habitat. There's a place just outside Kununurra which I need to mark down. It's like all these I think they're red rocks, but like amazing like escarpment base. And I drove past. I was like, I need to stop there. That is one of the problems with Australia. Even coming down from Darwin on that trip, you see all those big granite boulders. There's got to be stuff in there.
Right.
Knowing where to stop and like where to focus almost. Spoiled choice.
So cool. Yeah. So many things to see out there. Well, and that was the last monitor of that trip. And then the last trip I went on was earlier this year in March, celebrating my 50th birthday out in Central Australia. So kind of making it full circle back to where I was on my first trip, and went with, again, Jordan and a few others that buddies. One Australian, Dale, was from up Darwin area, really nice guy, and went with Jason and Nick and Aspen were the other folks on our trip. And we headed out kind of into the East Max was one of our first stops, and it was just, again, very, very hot and unseasonably warm. So that was kind of a rough deal. You never know what it's going to be, when you're planning a trip 6 months out. So it's hard to, fault this. And I was thinking, man, this is going to just ruin the trip. We're not going to see much at all. But on our way out of the East Max, we were driving down, and this parenti crossed the road. And I'm like, that is a parenti, and Aspen was with me in the car, and it was his first wild monitor lizard was this Central Australian parenti. I'm like, you don't know how lucky you are, my friend. It took me several trips just to see one, and now to see this one. So, and it was that was the WA one, but that was after in the park there. This one was kind of in brush, like in thick in the one right there. Just iconic, just beautiful. And it was very bold. Like, it just kind of went off the side of the road, maybe 5 feet off the road, and just sat there. And it was kind of interesting because I got close. As I would get closer to it to take pictures, it started to rattle its tail, like move its tail, back and forth. So I'm like, I didn't know that they did this. I don't know if it was a distraction, look at the tail versus the vulnerable head or whatever. But
yeah, a lot of monitors
like,
seem to do it, but not.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of any big ones do it that we've got here. The Indonesian stuff doesn't do it as much as the Australian stuff. A lot of the, you know, like the Pilbrensis, Hammersiensis,
Mhm.
and Glautrei will do it. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
because
that's
I'd
interesting.
seen the Pilbrensis do that with the big tail wag.
Yeah,
Like it was almost like they would settle down and just let their tail flop. I don't
yeah,
know if
yeah,
they,
yeah.
get the birds looking at the tail or something, but I saw it both in the Hammersliensis and the Pilbrensis. But yeah, this was like I didn't know big monitors did this, and it was almost like a rattlesnake rattle, like a
Oh,
clubber,
okay.
like a lot of our gopher
Yeah,
snakes
yeah,
or king snakes will rattle their tails like that. But so that was kind of a cool behavior to see. And then it sat there for maybe 15 minutes, and I'm trying to radio the other guys because one car was in front of us with Dale and Jason, and they were out of range, so they didn't hear us. And then Jordan hadn't turned on the walkie-talkie yet, and so we're like, "Dude, hurry!" And he was rearranging, packing his vehicle, and trying to
yeah. Oh
give us
no,
some space. And so by the time they caught up to us, it was gone.
they're
But
gone.
yeah, because it sat there, until it got either too warm or just sick of us or whatever, and started to walk away. And so,
Yeah,
and then we were still following, taking pictures, kind of paralleling it. And Aspen was on one side and I was on the other, and it just like kind of got nervous and just booked it, like just turned
if
on
they
the
can go.
gas.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and it was like, yeah, we're
and they
not getting
don't take.
close to that thing. And Aspen kind of came over the ridge just as it leapt off this like 15-foot cliff, hit the ground and then turned back around and went into a cave or a burrow right under the cliff, just
Yeah,
knew exactly where it was going,
I was about to say they always know exactly where they're
Yeah.
heading.
Yeah. But what a way to start off, that trip with such a
Awesome.
cool lizard. And then as we made our way over into the West Max, we were headed down one of the gorges there, and we were in the second car, and Jordan and Nick were in the first car, and Dale, and there was another Parenti sitting in the road there. So we came up behind them and they were taking pictures. And so we got to see it kind of sitting out there. We didn't get our cameras out fast enough or whatever. I just had my cell phone, so it didn't get much there, and it just took off as soon as it got sick of being photographed. But Jordan and Nick got some really nice pictures with their cameras.
So. 2 Parentis in one trip is
yeah, you can't beat that.
No,
and almost 3, because we went to that Telegraph Station area, and we're looking because that's a good place to see them. And actually coincidentally met up with Enzo there. He was there doing the same thing, and he'd actually just chased off a big Parenti trying to give it a kiss or something. But yeah, it went down a burrow, and so we actually came back the next morning with Enzo to go see if we could see it. He went out herping with us that night with his girlfriend and stuff. So yeah, it was a good time. It was kind of crazy, like, because I walked past him on the path and I'm like, that looks like Enzo, and I just seen him in October. So he didn't, but I kind of was looking at him to see if I could get some recognition, and then he didn't really show it. But I'm like, I'm just gonna yell Enzo and see if he turns. And so he turned around. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, it was kind of a coincidental thing. So kind of crazy.
That's
but
he's doing really good stuff over there. I haven't spoken to him for a while, but yeah, he's turned up some monitors for.
Right.
I mean, when he was over there just for a short period, he was really smashing it. So
yeah. It seems like wherever he goes, he's just a monitor magnet.
Yeah, for sure. I need to get out there and tag along with him.
Yeah. He's really fun to herp with. He goes hard too. Like I was like feeling the heat and just not like, oh man, this is killing me. And he's just like, just cruising up, and amazing guy. Yeah.
Tricky for the monitors because they're out in the day when it's warm. You get this period of like, I really need to find one now in the morning where it's nice and cool. The monitor's going to be nice and cool. Then you do see him as it gets later, but it gets tough. You like sweat the flies.
Yeah.
Too much sometimes. The flies, man.
Yeah.
I thought it's the herping mecca of the world, but it's also the worst place for flies in the world.
And just like at night, all the moths and other bugs that are just bombarding you, and you're trying to take a picture and there's bugs in the front of your camera and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But worth it.
But definitely worth it. Yeah. So and then other than that, we saw several more flavies on the Central Australia trip down around Uluru, and up north we went up to this sandy area looking for womas again, and this really nice flavy crossed the road and ran up a tree, and we had Nick kind of climb up the tree and scare it, and it jumped, and it was coming right for me, and Jason's like 6'8" or something. He's huge. He just reached his hand over top and grabbed it. And he's like, I just wanted to make sure we caught it before it hit the ground or whatever. So I'm like, nice. Yeah, you didn't trust me. You wanted to
catch as a catch.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got a few, close-up shots and then gave it some water and let it take off. But yeah. And he just ran right back up the tree again. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah. Because
there was a big burrow right at the base of the tree. So we thought, oh, this is his burrow. This is where he was headed. And so we kind of pointed him in that direction. He ran right past the burrow and up the tree again. So yeah, cool lizards.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I guess, other notable finds on that trip were the Centralian python, Raleigh bredli. That was,
yeah.
That was the big one. And we spent a lot of time looking for that, but.
You did well with pythons on that trip.
What's that?
I said it sounded like you did well with pythons on that trip.
Yeah, we got all the pythons you could find in the area, the Stimsons, and then the Woma down by Uluru, and then the blackhead up north of Alice. That was kind of the fun. It was like the last day of the trip. It was actually Jordan's birthday, and he's a blackheaded keeper and breeder and stuff, and really into blackheads. He's like, if we go like an hour and a half up the road, we might be able to find a blackhead. And we're like, yeah, let's do it, and yeah, sure enough, we got one. He and Jason cruised one like right on the way out. Basically, it was like, well, we better head back, and yeah, there was one crossing the road. So yeah, got them all.
Moments like that.
Yeah, it was a great trip
on the last day.
And fun guys. Yeah.
The Australia trip. Just wanted. This is an awesome shot, mate, of a relative of the monarch lizards.
Is
pretty local to you, Justin?
Yeah. This is down in the southwest corner of Utah. I'm up in the north of Utah, so like almost to the border of Idaho. But down southwest Utah, we have some really nice looking Gila monsters down there.
Really nice.
This was kind of a fun thing. We'd gone down. We had we were down there with the NPR crew. Nipper had flown in from England and was hanging out with us, and we were with Aspen again, who was on the Australia trip, and his buddy Chris that lives down in St. George, and Chris's wife. Oh man, sorry. Anyway, we were. Chris found a Gila monster, and it was actually one we'd seen several times before that.
Okay.
And we called him Key because he's got like this shape of a key on his back, like an old school key, And so I kind of jokingly said, "Oh, I've seen this one. I'm gonna go find another one." And they're like, "Ha ha ha!" And I walked down the wash a bit, and I'm like, "Hey guys, I got one." And this guy was crawling across the slick rock sandstone, and just gorgeous.
Really bright, really nice.
Yeah. And Utah's kind of known for the the banded Gilas rather than the reticulated Gilas that you find down in southern Arizona and stuff. But iconic species. They're a difficult find, really hard to predict kind of thing. Really out in the early spring and stuff, and they just stay underground a lot, and they're very wary. Like we would walk through this area and then we'd come back and see Gila monster tracks across our footprints, so like they really are, know if you're coming and kind of duck down or something. So yeah, it's always exciting to find one. I think that was maybe the fourth one I'd seen in the wild, so yeah, they're well, and I guess technically third because I'd seen one twice.
The same one twice.
Yeah. And then the guys that live down there had seen it a third time. So yeah. Awesome. But good times.
So to wrap it up, what do I want to ask you? Oh yeah, what's the unicorn species? What's the one you got to tick off in Australia?
Oh yeah, there's quite a few, but I'd love to see a Glebopalma, that would be really fun. And some of the other Glauerdi forms would be amazing. I'm hopefully next trip probably will be the West Kimberley, so maybe some true Kimberleys up there, whatever you want to call them.
And Glebos are pretty thick on the ground up there, I think.
So those are some big ones. I'd love to make it out to Komodo, see a Komodo
Okay.
dragon.
Yeah, give me a
that would
shout.
be
Komodo's
fantastic.
easy.
Yeah, and obviously, seeing the tree monitors would be a dream.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
those
Let me know
blue
if
tree
you're going to do
monitors
it.
are another favorite of mine. So yeah, seeing
Yeah.
them in the wild would be fantastic.
Yeah,
But
sure. Any monitor in the wild is
right.
an amazing thing.
Yeah. I still need to see like a water monitor or something, in Thailand.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
cool too. Or a croc monitor would be a dream as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they're just like the parenties of the jungle almost. They're
yeah,
hard to hurt for, but they turn
right.
up. The second one I've seen with the boys, Nick and Ryan.
Uh-huh.
So,
I'd
but yeah,
love to see a brevicata too. That would be another dream one for me.
yeah. I've
They're
never
really
turned them up
cool.
either.
Yeah, they're kind of a hard thing, I think, to find, but
Yeah, I think you
I don't
need
know. There's too
pit
many.
bull.
There's so many.
What about in the States? Because you're doing a lot of herping in the States now. Is there any
Yeah.
unicorn or one you need to tick off?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to make our list through the all the U.S. species of rattlesnakes, all the Crotalus and Cistrus, and so we're making our way through. And so,
Okay.
one of the unicorns would be Obscurus, the New Mexico
Yeah.
ridge-nosed rattlesnake. They're not an easy find and take a lot
I've
of time.
heard.
So we're going to do a little work for those. Hopefully, get lucky and see those. But I don't know. There's so many cool reptiles out there, and
Definitely, especially in the States.
Oh
If
yeah,
it's no monitors, which is no good for me, that's why I haven't been over there. But
right.
got some really cool other things for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so there's quite a big list of things I'd love to see in the wild, and just making my way through it. But pretty much anything is fun to see. I don't know. I'm kind of in that phase, I guess, where I'm less interested in keeping them in boxes and more interested in seeing them in the wild. And monitors do take a lot of work and effort to keep happy, and especially to breed them. So I just figure I'd rather just see them out doing their thing in the wild. Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, I'm not ruling out maybe having one down the road, but maybe just for a pet to enjoy rather than try to breed them and worry about that.
Yeah. The breeding side is just lots of food, and depending on the species, potentially lots of heat and electricity these days.
Right.
I've got it easy now. It's all outside pretty much.
Yeah. You're doing some impressive stuff out there.
Yeah.
Knocking it out of the park. It's really great to see all your success. So keep it up.
Yeah, we'll try. Can't leave you without saying about your books. I've got your Green Tree Python book here, and then obviously the ones you've done with Nick. How many books are you up to now?
So we did the complete carpet python, me and Nick, and then we did the complete Antaresia or complete children's python book. The Green Tree book was me and Terry Phillip. I did a gecko, knobtail gecko book with Mike. Oh my gosh, I'm so horrible with names. I co-author a book with him, I can't remember his last name. Anyway, and then the second edition of the carpet book. I've got a field guide to the reptiles and amphibians of Utah coming out soon with Nipper Reed, and I guess his real identity. He's going to buy his real name on the book, but then we'll. I'm working on a book with Nick and. Oh my gosh. Lucas Lee and Zach Loafman for the Aspidites. So interesting that we're doing a 4 co-author book with a book on 2 species. But what do you think?
I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
Yeah, hopefully we can wrap that one up soon. It's been a labor of love, and I guess we've all been kind of busy, so it's hard for Lucas to wrangle 3 other co-authors. So
I've got
Lucas.
much admiration and respect for authors now. I've just got really stuck into writing my book.
Yeah, how's it coming?
Good. Like once you get into a role of doing it, it's really enjoyable. But it's taken years of like worrying about it, how to do it, and all the rest of it. But it's a lot of work, man, to get it. And then I guess like on the text, then you're thinking about the layout. But I just want to get the text done and the narrative done, and then try and do it in stages. I'm glad I've started it properly now, rather than just thinking about. My excuse before with all these herp trips was like I need to take all the pictures of all of them before,
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but you'll never do the writing. Now I'm doing the writing, it's sort of spurring on getting the pictures as well.
Right.
But yeah, it's enjoyable, but it's not easy. It's definitely not easy.
Yeah. Yeah, you get the text written, you're thinking, okay, I'm pretty much done. And then the layout takes almost as long as it takes to do the text, getting all the pictures embedded. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Luckily, on most of these books, I've had Russ Gurley. He does the layouts for Eco and does a fantastic job. He's really fun to work with and just a great guy. And Bob, publishing the book is
that's some great books.
Yeah,
definitely.
So I don't know. It is fun, but it is nice to have something kind of like, a permanent piece of herpetocultural history or herpetological history. I don't know. So
100%. Yeah. I still read books now that I've got the Barker's book over there and all sorts. So yeah, it's a bit of a lost art, but I'm glad there's still people writing them for sure.
Right. Yeah. It is nice. I was just flipping through Eidmuller's Monitor Lizard book. It's it's fun book. And Daniel Bennett's, I was always a big fan of that one. And anything that has natural history, like, I mean, the care and stuff is great, but
that's the bit I'm smashing out now.
Yeah,
people are going to be disappointed. That's probably the people I get the most questions, obviously, about the captive side of it. That's the bit I least want to write about.
Right.
And I'm going to take a lot more time on the natural history and that side of it. So
that's the good stuff.
People might be disappointed with the captive side, but there will be a good lot on the natural history for sure.
Yeah, they'll be changing their minds once they get into herping after they're.
Yeah. Recommend it
once they figure out that's where it's at.
Yeah. You'll stop buying lizards and start looking for them.
Right. Or just buy one less. It's almost, some of these species you could almost do a trip for the amount of money it takes to buy a pair of lizards. Just buy one less pair, get out to where they live, and
the problem is it just creates another addiction of going out herping then, and
that's
and
true.
But it's a healthy addiction, gets you out there, and it's good.
Yeah, and I think my captive breeding has supported that herping, so I can sell a few snakes and then go on a herp trip. So that's kind of how it works.
Anything in boxes that's fun at the moment?
Mostly snakes, no monitors, but I did just get an egg from my prickly knobtail, my Nephurus asper. That's a new species for me, so hopefully I can get it hatched out, and have a number of pythons. I've got all 4 species of Antaresia, the 4 recognized species again, then carpet pythons. I've got some really nice jungle carpets that are feeding well and ready to go, and then some inland carpets that are from Maug, really dark male Maug, to some AR line females. So
I do miss them.
They're fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
They're probably the best carpet python to keep for sure. They're just
most
so
underrated.
easy.
I don't know if they are rated now, but they were the most underrated when I was into the carpets.
Right.
Nobody keeping them. The selective breeding that can be done on them must. I don't know if they've got any further with it, but
I'm trying to refine blue, but that's that's about it. I'm on what third generation or something, so it's not that far in either. I mean, there was a wild one that was like found that was pretty much all pink. It was really weird, bizarre looking, kind of granity looking thing. It was crazy looking. So and then they have the silver peppers over in Australia. But there's some definite inroads for selective breeding for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's cool. And then obviously you do an amazing podcast yourself. Really cool concept with Rob Stone. I've been trying to think of a topic so I can get on there.
There you go. We got to have you on.
For sure. But
or a Grilling the Expert. We started doing a series called Grilling the Expert.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So maybe we'll have to have you come on and talk about tree monitors, and get you on for that, because that's always cool to hear about tree monitors. So we'll get it scheduled.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Justin. I hope everyone's enjoyed that. Like I said, if you listen to it on the audio, really suggest coming and seeing the YouTube video. Have you got anything else you want to shout out, Justin? Your website or anything like that?
I mean, you can, it's not updated very often, but AustralianAddiction.com, and my Instagram, JG Julander on Instagram, is mostly field herping pics. That's mainly what I focus on there.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And then Reptile Fight Club on the NPR network.
Yeah.
Really, really good podcast. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Justin. I'll see you after the show, mate.
All right.
See everyone
Thanks,
else
Chris.
soon. Cheers.